Won't you come over? Dying to know where you came from. We're breaking open. Feel like our future's just begun. And all I know is that we lost time. If we stay right here, we could free ourselves inside. We'll stay awake forever. We'll hide away where no one knows. Let's run away together. Just lead me into your world. We'll stay awake forever. We'll hide away where no one knows. Let's run away together on our own. Just lead me into your world. Waiting for no one. We're headed straight up for the sun. They'll never notice. We'll take these cities on our own. And all I know is that we lost time. If we stay right here, we could free ourselves inside. We'll stay awake forever. We'll hide away where no one knows. Let's run away together. Just lead me into your world. We'll stay awake forever. We'll hide away where no one knows. Let's run away together on our own. Just lead me into your world. Into your world. We'll stay awake forever. We'll hide away where no one knows. Let's run away together on our own. Just lead me into your world.
It has been a month and a half. It has been quite the wait. But ladies and gentlemen, the SSA main event has returned. It's the second of the season, and it is a pleasure to return to the rounds broadcast with myself, Sir Picasus, alongside Rhino, and of course, with Hazza in the background as well.
Yeah, there's two dream teams on show today, one here in the production booth and one on the field that we're about to see a little bit later on. But we have got so much coming up today, so much to prove, so many people to prove wrong, Pegasus. It feels like rounds are here to make a statement.
Everything is happening in SSA at the moment, and this was the season for all of these storylines to start to unfold. It's not just about the Europeans anymore, it's about all this talent that now has cropped up, and everyone feels like they have a chance now. The depth in this region has gotten unbelievable. I mean, we were struggling our way with predicting anything that happened with the Swiss stage. We'll have a little bit of a recap of that later, but for now, we'll keep it chronological. We'll go in order, and we'll of course start off with the double Elim, which was as solid as we could expect. Rhino, No Name team are not an easy team to start up against, but for the most part this was all about just trying to see how this new roster would form together.
Yeah, it was an important day one of, well, day two, day one, depending on how you want and which region you're a part of. But it was a stream that we did that really made us initially believe in this new rounds roster, because it was a brand new roster. We didn't know what to expect. We didn't know where kind of the team were going to pitch themselves, and it was a day one to look back on with fondness and with real pride, because listen, not everyone gets through Double Elim unscathed. Certainly not new rosters who have only been playing together for a week, and Rounds were able to do that, and with some pretty good performances to boot. I really liked what I saw on Saturday.
Absolutely, and it is, of course, Onizuma and Marzi that have joined the Rounds team. Renshiro is eternally going to be a part of this organisation, it feels like, and that is with absolutely no complaints from myself whatsoever. He had a really, really solid run his whole way to the GSL, but one player really stole our hearts here. It's a goal scorer right there, Onizuma. Just his mechanics and his general consistency for such a young, relatively unknown player as well from Reunion. It was an absolute pleasure to watch. We also managed to get this game against Strive Esports, where we had our former teammates on the roster. Willu is on that opposite side for them. They had just been picked up, what was it, like 5 minutes before the first kickoff that day, Rhino, which really helped shake up the scene. But again, lots of movement, lots of excitement, and that support as well. We really cannot be complaining about that. A pretty solid start for a day where we couldn't even get that warm-up.
No, absolutely. So it was really important. It was, as I say, that we performed well on day one, and we did, and we gave ourselves the best opportunity going forwards. And that's all Rounds could really do. Renshiro, Onizuma, and Marzi showed up into the new Open, and they really made a statement. They really set their flag here in SSA to say, listen, people might doubt us, people might question the roster moves, but we're here to tell you it was the right thing for this organization, and it was the right thing for the players involved. And we continue to have to make that point, because people simply won't listen and use their eyes, Pegasus. It's crazy.
It is crazy, but people did start to watch during the Swiss stage, because that's where the real action begins. No one cares about your day one performances. This is where you play some proper rosters. And we started off versus No Name Team, which on paper, sure, they're a strong roster, but there was confidence heading into this matchup that Round would be able to dismantle this side, and it was a bit of a slow start. Zentox got off to a fantastic start with that opening goal, but ultimately, Round started to pick up that pace, and we could start to see the team click together like we saw in the day previous. And I said there was a player that stole our hearts in day one. It didn't change in day two. Onizuma with his incredible ground bounce double tap after the flip reset, which we did not score only once, but also twice. Off the ceiling this time. It is slightly different than the last one, but he was just showing off that consistency throughout the entirety of this day. And when you want to talk about Mr. Consistent, of course, Renshiro is definitely part of that regard. But for our next match, this was tough. Broker Crows was one of the 2, maybe 3 teams in this group that we ideally would not want to play against. Pioneers and Death Cloud maybe being in that conversation as well. But despite that, despite the youth of this roster and the little amount of time they've actually had alongside each other, they did impress us in this series. No spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen, we did not get a game out of this. We did get swept, but every game was within 1. We pushed them to OT 2 times in a row. Onizuma was extremely strong. Renshiro was locking down that defense, and Marzi was just fantastic all round, but ultimately mistakes do slip in, and we had to go down to neutral.
Yeah, and followed from that was the longest series of the day from a Rounds point of view. Rounds versus Project 1, which started in a very concerning manner, and Rounds, after that loss to Broke Road Crows, it looks like they lost a bit of mojo, lost a bit of mental. And Project 1 were able to take a lead in the series. However, things would not stay that way. Rounds would fight and scratch and claw. It wasn't enough in game 2. But after that point, the tide started shifting. Rounds started finding their feet and finding their flicks and tricks as well. Great pass inside from Marzi and Onizuma, making plays like this all day long. Continuing to do so. A convincing game 2, a convincing game 3, and convincing game 4, my apologies, as well. Followed by the game 5. The reverse sweep. Could Rounds pull it off and go 2-1 in the Swiss? They certainly could. And we go into the uppers to play against an old friend, let's put it that way. Death Cloud Esports, Teshel Twinzer, and Tweaks. A brilliant org, a brilliant roster in their own right, and it proved to be a little bit too much for Rounds on this particular occasion. However, another series which felt like it wasn't really a 3-0, a bit of the Bro Crow Crows air coming from earlier, where games really could have gone either way. Lots of one-goal games, lots of very tight plays and moments in these games, which really caused Rounds some problems in the end. Death Cloud, as we say, just too strong. Their attack just too unrelenting. In the end, Rounds were able to show signs of life, but just couldn't see it through, so we went into round 5.
Do or die, and well, you have a stream today, so I'm sure you can guess what the result of this was. It was Supersonic Legends versus Rounds. Byrichu, Bigfoot, and Mercury, of course, being very experienced players in their own right, and this felt like a game that you were speaking about the Death Cloud game having a little bit of an atmosphere of Broco Crows. This one felt like Project 1 for a while, where we went into a match expecting we were going to win, and all of a sudden there was that little bit of struggle. We couldn't find a victory in that first game. Supersonic Legends had us on the ropes early in the second, but this was heart, this was personality, this was a team coming together despite such little time actually spent in the drawing board with the two coaches. It was full faith, full throttle, plenty of passing plays, and then Onizuma started to wake up, and that is not something that any opponent wants to hear. Here's the final goal. Marzi fakes all 3 players, and the youngster slams it into the back of the net. Another round 5 qualification for Rounds, the second in a row between these two opens, despite the change in roster. So it's just something about that wonderful shade of green that guarantees entertainment throughout those day 2s.
Entertainment, heart attacks, panic, all of the above. It's whichever side of the coin you land on is relevant to your own personal situation. But Renshiro has often made the point that it doesn't really matter how you perform in Swiss. What matters is that you get through to the following Friday, that you get through to GSL. Yeah. That is something that Rounds have become very adept at doing, whether it be in APAC in the last season or whether it be in SSA this season. GSL top 16 of a region consistently calls Rounds' name, and that's where we are. That is where we have shown up to. So it's a really important now position to be in. They've had an extra week to work in the lab, and you know that Renshiro is going to have been making sure that the youngsters were there at training, at practice, get those team plays together, get that mental settled, ready for a Friday of action.
And well, you did have a little bit of a look at some of the action that unfolded in the Swiss. We spoke about the unpredictability of that stage, and it doesn't get easier when we head to the GSL. But we certainly did try. So here is your official RDR prod predictions. We're going to start off with Konzak, who unfortunately could not make it today, so I'll read it out for him. He's got Pioneers sweeping their way through the bracket. That's not going to be a surprise for many people. But Stronic versus the Punishers. This was an interesting matchup for me. Konzak has that going to 5. 5 Fears. He does have beating rounds, but we are going to be taking a game away from them. And Death Cloud going to 5 versus Unity. That's quite a lot of games there for Unity. He's got a lot of faith in that roster. They've got an amazing stream as well, by the way. Be sure to check them out on Twitter and maybe on a second monitor if you have any to spare. 5 Fears, though, unsurprisingly, going to sweep their way to top 6 qualification from there. But in the lowers, where all of the Piranhas come to fight, New Dogs sweeping the Punishers and then losing to Death Cloud in another game 5. That's going to be a very stressful game for the Purple Cloud. Rounds getting a sweeping victory versus Unity and eventually free-running Astronic on Azuma's former roster to qualify for top 8. That would certainly be a storyline. And overall, Rhino, I'm quite a fan of Konzak's predictions, but I'm sure we're about to see your opinions.
Yeah, for sure, and there's not too many things changing, but the one changeable factor, I think, in that round 1 is Astronic versus the Punishers. For me, personally, I've got Punishers taking that game against Astronic. Maybe I put too much stock in Open 1, but for me personally, I think they're just a stronger team. So I don't see any game in the opening round going 2-5, and you will also notice that I didn't give Rounds a game in that opening game, and I do apologize to everyone on the stream for outing myself as clearly a 5 Fears fan. However, when you go into those lowers, that's where things get a little bit interesting. I just don't see New Dog's old tricks having really anything new to bring us. So I think Astronic are going to be able to get through that challenge, no problem. And then I actually like the Unity team. I think it's a better team than people give it credit for. So I think Rounds might come up against a bit of a tricky opponent in those lower semi-finals, moving through into the finals, into the qualification. I mean, Deathcloud, I'd be surprised if we didn't see Deathcloud through to tomorrow. Doesn't really matter who they're playing in that lower final. I just think they're the favorites. They look really good last weekend. And then Rounds, again, a difficult game, but I think they see it through in 5 against Punishers.
Yeah, it's actually, the upper bracket is definitely easier than the lowers, I felt like, when I was going through my predictions. So we can have a little bit of a look at those. It's going to be not too different to anything that you guys have said. I said Pioneers are going to sweep New Dogs. I've got the Punishers winning against Astronic, same as yourself. And then the 6-0 record going to the Pioneers to see them qualify for top 6. I've also got a 6-0 for 5 Fears. I've got to give respect to this roster. Rounds is still a very new team, and beating talents like 5 Fears so early, I just don't think that they are quite ready for that yet. This is what this Open is really about. This is a long-term project. They want to pick up that pace with this roster. Deathcloud, I've got them beating Unity in 4, and then of course dropping to 5 Fears a little bit later, but now the lowers is where it gets interesting. Really struggled with New Dog's old tricks versus Astronic, so I knew I was going to go to 5. I somewhat flipped a coin, and Astronic was the team that I did settle on, and then Deathcloud making top 8 for me was a bit of an easier decision. And then the lower semi-finals, I've got round 4 against Unity, and I believe the exact same as you, Rhino. I've got game 5 versus the Punishers. That's a really tough game to find in the lowers, but these are all predictions. This is all what we think, and nobody really cares what we think, Rhino. What we really want to see is how the players perform on the pitch. So they are going to be heading there very, very, very soon. And when they do, 5 Fears, Rhino. 5 Fears. I am fearful, for sure.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And I think if Rounds are kind of truthful to themselves, they would say the same thing. Seeing those 3 names across the field from you, Tekos, Snowy, and Guns, is never easy, and it's never something that's going to give you a lot of confidence. So we talked about it before, and I think Renshiro knows this. He's been around the block a couple of times. You take these games as warm-up matches. You take these games as preparation for later in the GSL bracket. So we'll see if they are able to do that and hold their momentum for later in the GSL. Here we go then, folks. It is time to get things underway. Game 1 of the day. 5 Fears, the second best team in Open 1, taking on Rounds on their mission to claim a top 8 spot. Let's go!
2 teams that will not settle for being second best. 5 Fears for their region, Rounds for their iterations. Statements need to be made in this second Open, and we will see quick out the gates, both teams playing at their maximum potential. It is Marzi and Onizuma alongside Renshiro, Snowy, Guns, and Tekos on the opposite side of the pitch. Of course, players that have played for their country. But where's the spot for reunion? If there was, Onizuma guarantees himself that spot.
Onizuma loves to start quickly, and that's exactly what he's done there. Just making sure he gets in front of the 5 Fears defense and players. And just giving them a bit of a wake-up call, saying, if you've not warmed up, if you've not prepared for us, we will capitalize. It's a nice pass up, though. Tekos takes a shot backboard. Double, good save. As Rounds survived the first attack from 5 Fears, as Guns keeps the pressure on. It should be cleared away, and that's Marzi making sure that the ball gets sent to the sidewall. But here he is, Tekos, the Spanish magician. Great save from Marzi on the goal line to keep 5 Fears out for now. You just get the feeling we won't be able to keep them out for long.
Absolutely. It's a very scary team to play against when you have that much time on the clock. It does feel like somewhat a game of survival. Guns puts that one to the crossbar, and Shiro clears out to the corner. And they've got to play with confidence, Rounds. They can't just sit back and allow themselves to try and eat all the pressure off 5 Fears. They'll find themselves getting stuffed very, very quickly, and what follows certainly won't be pretty. Onizuma to that left wall. Snowy Gets there first. Tekos finds that shot on target. It's an awkward ball for Marzi, but ultimately keeps it close in control. And Ranchero is able to just buy some time. Gets another touch here. That's an awkward one to find, but there was still no double commits coming out of that play. And that already fills me with confidence. That's a mistake that old rounds would have made a little bit earlier into a series. This time, though, they look raring and ready to go, Rhino. Rounds have always historically been slow starters. No matter the region they've competed in, that is really not feeling the case right now.
No, it isn't. And something we talk about a lot with Five Fears, and it's no disrespect to the individual players, but they tend to struggle with mental. They tend to kind of have moments where it looks like they should be able to get through or get by, and people have spoken about the difference in quality between themselves and Pioneers, and I'm sure a lot of people on the main desk this weekend, including myself, will have that discussion as well. But the big difference that comes down between the two teams is the mentality of each of those rosters. And Five Fears, if you frustrate them, if you're able to get under their skin and make it difficult for them to score, as Rounds are doing right now, they have been known to not throw games, but they certainly have been known to just get that little agitated, maybe force a few things, maybe double commit, maybe not have those same comms that they would normally have. And that can lead to openings for their opposition. So Snowy, off the right-hand side, probably the man with the best mental on his roster, trying to bring that one through, not able to do so. Up the right-hand side, Rounds beyond the halfway mark and is still 1-0 up.
2 minutes still to go, and Onazuma's hunting for more. The crossbar will deny. And now it's about that chase back. Ranchero spent some time to take that higher boost. Snowy not going to rush his play, however. Onozuma will tip this one out to the side. Guns. It was initially looking like it was supposed to be a self-setup. Waits for 2 Rounds players to leap up high. Marzivo still catches that 50, so the punishments will not come into play. Still a little bit low boost heading into this attack. They need to perfect their positions. And Onozuma, this youngster, has so much confidence. No boost, steps forward, wants to find that target, almost finds that target. And this is more bravery than I see most teams face against Five Fears. But ultimately, class is permanent. And Tekos is certainly a player that exuberates that trait.
You cannot miss opportunities like Rounds just did against a team like Five Fears, because they'll punish you. I mean, Onozuma has been excellent. He's been lights out. It feels like one of the most simple of shots. As long as it's on target, it goes home, and it just hits the crossbar. And immediately after that, Five Fears, they kind of get the confidence. They're like, oh, they just missed an open net. All of a sudden, they start to feel a little bit better about themselves, and they're able to equalize. So with that said, 1 minute 10 still on the clock, and it has been all Five Fears pressure. We're not going to try and sugarcoat that for you. However, Rounds' defense has been stout so far. There is a chance here as Snowy finds the pinch. Guns takes the shot. And the game turns around just like that. Doesn't take long. Five Fears lead in game 1, 2-1.
This is a powerful strike from Guns. Just drills it down the center and just hopes that the reaction time isn't quick enough to get that clearance. It certainly wasn't. But when you compare this Five Fears performance from Rounds, then what we have seen previously in the last, of course, main event, where we were also forced to play this very same roster, it's definitely an improvement. But once Five Fears start to go up the gears, that's where it starts to fall to tragedy. Tekos so quick onto that second ball. Marzi felt like he had timed his run so well, and against any other team, he likely did. But they're just so ahead of the grain. Tough to stop. Kickoff strat coming in. Both players going wide on Five Fears. There's a pre-jump from Tekos. They're looking to freestyle. And this is what they can do.
Yeah, you can put up barricades as big as you want. You can back it up with steel and iron. But at the end of the day, Five Fears, they have got a battering ram, and they will force it onto whatever defenses you put up, and eventually it will break. That's where Rounds sit at the moment. There's another one flying in. And for all of the good work that had happened in the first 60, not longer than 60 seconds, sorry, the first 4 minutes of this game, It is all being undone rather rapidly towards the end of game 1, and 5 Fears, well, they won't be fearful anymore.
Like a dam being broken when we're talking about the Rounds defense. So solid, holding back so much pressure. But then as soon as there is a slight crack, the slight show of weakness, all of a sudden that water comes pouring out in high speed. The dam starts to fall apart, and it is a very hard position to try and to recover yourself from until, of course, you have to start all over again. That's what this reset between game 1 and game 2 certainly is going to be. But despite the scoreline, you would look at this game as somewhat ending in the last minute. As soon as 5 Fears were able to extend their lead to 2 goals, that's too much for too many teams, and certainly is too much for Rounds. They have to hold it close, otherwise it's game over, as it was.
Oh, goodness gracious me. 5 Fears with 21 shots to 4. That is an onslaught. That, I mean, if Rounds had been able to hold on to that 1-0 lead right the way through, that would have felt like the biggest FMing of all time. Because there's no shot that Rounds should be anywhere near in that. And as I say, for 4 minutes, Rounds looked like they were going to be able to keep 5 Fears out. But I'm going to go back to that Onizuma miss. I'm going to go back to it because he just hits off the top of his car. It's almost like a bounce shot, right? And all he needs to do is just sit there and let it roll off his car into the net. That's all that needs to happen. There's no one back for 5 Fears. It would have been fine. And that would have been 2-0. And maybe, just maybe, we'd have been talking about a Rounds upset victory in game 1 after that. But we're not, Pegasus. We are sat here talking about a 5 Fears victory, but one that feels like the scoreline doesn't tell the whole story of the game.
Certainly not. And I'm going to give, I guess, somewhat of a backhanded compliment to Rounds. In fact, they did make 12 saves in that last game. So defense certainly strong, but they are taking so much pressure. You don't want to be in a situation where 12 saves is the requirement and you still are conceding 5. But it was impressive that it was only 5 at that point. Renshiro looks to chase that ball. The boost stolen here by Snowy. Bells away. Tekos gets his reset. Looks to find the angle, but Marzi made sure to have it blocked. Doesn't underestimate the mechanical capabilities of the Spaniard. Renshiro. Easy clearance off that backboard, but it goes out wide. Marzi had to go up for that one, otherwise that was going to be easy pickings for Tekos. Instead, he has to start a few Unreal units behind where he would like to be. Snowy, though, advances all of that space, and Tekos will be the one credited. But simply, this was all Snowy. A lovely drop-down catch there, setting up that boom ball into the back of the net. And that's one of those moves that is deceivingly difficult. But, of course, players of this caliber and with this one's prowess as well, which I believe all 3 of these players on 5 Fears have, that is so automatic.
Yeah, and hey, I've always said Tekos is a tap-in merchant, right? He's not really quality in the air, just kind of sits in front of net and makes sure his teammates do all the work before finishing the job.
Right now! Oh my goodness.
Imagine. No, Guns now going to try and move this one around the side. Gets the better of the 50. Has a little bit of boost to work with. Bringing out some mechanics. They don't quite work for him on that occasion. Here is Snowy, the architect of 5 Fears. As he looks to pass that ball down. Every single Rounds player missed that ball as it dropped down. But luckily, 5 Fears gave Rounds a little bit too much credit and backed away from the play. So Rounds actually with some offensive possession now until Snowy gets a demo downfield. Guns pops the ball forwards, and that will do it. That's good enough for 2.
And you could see that ahead of time. As soon as Guns goes up and you see that he's got that player right in front of him, I mean, I could feel your inflections start to rise. You knew that this play was going to come to a very bitter end for the boys that bleed green. But Onizuma looks to take that one immediately back. This one doesn't go over. He will open the scoring yet again for Rounds, but it is a very different scenario. It's still just 1 goal to chase. He hasn't regained the driver's seat here. Still more action needed. 3 minutes to both hold on and pick up a goal. That is a tall order, but one that Onizuma has seemingly been completely up for.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think we just played a replay from game number 1 6 seconds in, because that was exactly the same goal. But this time, as you say, in different circumstances. All into the middle, cleared by Onizuma, and heavy touches against Five Fears are never really going to work because they always have a way out. And that redirect from Tekos looks really nice. It was just wide. Renshiro has gone for a hot dog.
Oh.
Thought he had more boost in the tank than he did. Check the bottom right of your screen, buddy, as that one, yeah, just looks a little bit worse on the replay, especially with the slow motion. However, Five Fears, 3-1 up, 2.5 minutes, still time for rounds to get back into this.
Those ground bouncing shots always make you feel so bad as the defensive player because it does just somewhat roll its way in, but it is a really good shot that does mind game the defense, especially when you're used to high power shots like this. Marzi though couldn't force it through this time. Snowy's got 100. He's got a nice touch. There's been a pre-jump from Tekos. Not finding the angle, however. Snowy wants it again. Bails away. And that goal looks familiar. Marzi and Onizuma, can I copy your homework? I'll make sure to make a few changes. Guns puts it in the back of the net.
Yeah, unfortunate from rounds again for what was a solid, stout defense is just starting to crumble. And I do think it comes off the back of rounds starting to play a little bit nervous, a little bit scared after what happened at the end of game 1. You start to second guess your movements. You start to think, oh, is this the right challenge? Is this the right thing to do at this moment? And as soon as you start to take that extra second to think about what you want to do, things will go wrong. There's a double commit on the goal line here for Five Fears, which could give rounds an opportunity, and it certainly will. Marzi to finish. No way, as Guns just scrambled across the goal line there. Fair play. Guns able to get there first, but rounds are building opportunities. Rounds are not just sitting there and being defensive. They are trying to score, and Renshiro is succeeding in scoring.
This is a game already I'm so proud watching. Look at the way Marzi steps up for that 50, and Renshiro is already making that run. The anticipation for a 50 to go in your teammate's favour, to just get that hope for a strike at net, is something that this team does so well. And Onizuma was waiting in third man position, not usually the player that you see taking that mantle, but he knows when it's his responsibility. It's such an old head on young shoulders. Cutting in though, this is all Marzi, and hold on a minute.
Hang on.
This is a game that is still potential to be thrown into jeopardy.
Calma, tranquilo. Let's all calm it down a little bit. All right, there is something to be played for here. Rounds have tripled their score tally from game number 1 against number 2 in the region. Needed not to concede a kickoff. That was pretty paramount. I didn't want to say it because then, well, people would have said that I cursed it. Marzi just...
You thought about it really hard.
No, I didn't think about it. No. We're not playing that. No.
Did you think about it really hard? Okay.
Not hard enough.
You get away with it this time. But it's another attempt at those pre-jump plays. That one fell rather flat.
Yeah. It's going to be down this right-hand side. Snowy just marshalling it, making sure Guns has a free opportunity, and does off the backboard. Marzi, you got to get up first, and goes up to meet Snowy, and now Onozuma's played that one over the top. It might just drop into the bottom left corner. It hits the post. No. And that really was a chance for Rounds to get back within 1. Unfortunately, goes by the wayside. But once again, Rounds making it difficult for Five Fears. And then deciding that 5 wasn't enough.
Yep. You're right there, Rhino. Ooh, let's like, who's not skipping this? Who's not skipping this?
That's a great question.
I need someone to snitch right now for me. But we'll move on from that. And Renshiro on a kickoff, a bump on Tekos. I forgot that beat. That was going to be a net, but having to beat past 2 players and everything having to be pure perfection is very tough. It's got so many places where An error does make it all fall apart. Marzi takes this ball over. Tekos should have the easy catch. It was actually a lot tougher than it initially seemed, but he certainly made sure that it remained at ease with the skill he has behind the ball. Tekos goes up for this one on Zuma. A little bit of a jumping hope from him before there to just try and keep the ball moving, but ultimately that's game 2 over. And again, 6-3 result. Didn't feel like a 6-3 when we were watching it with how hard that rounds were able to hold on, and I can already see ahead of time a lot less shots from Five Fears and overall a lot more equality with that white bar in the middle.
Almost half of the shots that they had in game 1. They're down to 11 now from 21. So a better performance from rounds, a more even game, but now it's a question of being clinical. Now it's a question of taking your opportunities, and Five Fears have always been a team that are incredibly clinical in front of goal, and they do that so well. Rounds, the defense was alright, but it wasn't quite at the level that it needs to be against a team like Five Fears. However, something to take forwards and something to take excitement from is that rounds at one point were 1 goal behind and the scoreline was 4-3. Now, no one, I don't think anybody who's claims to be anybody in SSA Rocket League would have expected or predicted that would be a situation that rounds would find themselves in. So, can we kick on in game 3? Can we take something from Five Fears? I'm starting to think maybe we can.
I'm fearing that we're rats right now. I'm fearing that we might be in the same cage as Bromeo, because we predicted sweeps in this first game and it was only Quanzek that gave a game here 4 rounds, and now that this match is starting to unfold, I am really starting to believe that that is within the realms of possibility. I thought this match, frankly, was going to be a lot more one-sided to Five Fears, just due to the lack of experience between these 3 players as a unit. But the turnaround time has been so darn fast. And speaking of quick turnaround times, from defense to offense, on Azuma with the threaded through ball all the way down to Renshiro. That's the tap-in that we need, the goal poacher that was required. And Five Fears are already with their backs against the wall.
I find it so funny because, like, oh my goodness, that was very close. Everyone is going to be asking, certainly on the Five Fears roster, what is Renshiro doing there? Because that shows a lack of respect. That shows that Renshiro thought that his team of merry men were going to be able to get a better 50 on the sidewall than the second best team in SSA, 2 of which have represented South Africa at the FIFA E World Cup, and he was going to be able to just get a go-ahead goal. That's what that positioning says. And so, absolutely incredible to think of. Five Fears go down the other end and say, you will start to respect us, after Snowy finds the pass to the backboard and Tekos sends it into the top right corner. Devo says reverse sweep time. You know what? I hear it. I hear it.
Rounds have definitely poked the stick at the bear, so to speak, and I'm about to hit them with a baseball bat because I have seen them lose at these series where they are 1 away from winning. I wonder what the stakes were last time that happened. It would, of course, be a massive feat for rounds to be able to pull that off, especially with Five Fears just picking up that second goal. But this is very, very early doors, and the goals have been rather quick flowing.
We have Tekos looking to get another one on the board. Well, kickoff goals galore. 1 minute, 10 seconds gone. And as soon as Tekos picks the ball up there with even no boost, it kind of doesn't matter. You expect him to score in those moments. And that's exactly what he does. Five Fears, daylight now between themselves and rounds. Can we have longer than a 10-second play after a kickoff? It looks like we might be able to, unless rounds score, which they don't. They pass slightly behind on Azuma, and we are back into regulation.
This is why kickoff goals shouldn't count, ladies and gentlemen. Guns running towards his own net here. 100 Bisbor, and Shiro's up early on Azuma as well. Quick on the bounce. Fight the target. Unchallenged. Just fear from the Five Fears roster. 2 players sat on their goal line looking up like Willem Dafoe on Azuma on your head top. It doesn't matter the opponent.
Something that very much excites me for the rest of today, whether Rounds are able to win this game, this series, or whatever, is that Onazuma's online. That's what we're seeing right here. Onizuma is hitting some shots. He's feeling it. He's ready to attack GSL, get himself into the top 8. So that's a good bump, actually. So Marzi will go unchallenged. Needed really to catch it rather than boom it downfield to 2 5 Fears players, but either way, Tekos reset, won't use it. Out of the corner, chance for Guns, slow shot, bump on the goal line, could cause problems. Onizuma, there again, has an empty net to aim at. Can he find the chance? It's going to be difficult. And he goes. Oh, that would have been scenes. Just not quite catching up to it.
Onizuma, I love you, but that one's overcooked. My tweet did really well. I love posting your goals. But what would be even better is taking a game off 5 Fears. There's still time, half a match still to go, and that's multiple opportunities for rounds picked up. And that's a privilege. Not many teams in SSA can say. Onizuma for the tap down. Guns doesn't have the boost to go for the demo, so it's just going to have to be a bump. Pass out to Snowy, off to that other corner. And that 50 is on target, but Onizuma prevented goals in the opposing third. Will at least do it in his own as well. Goes up, gets that 50 versus Snowy, beats him completely to it as well, despite the lack of resources. Just the confidence, the youthfulness, the excitement with the way he plays just makes the full difference. Shot on by Marzi. Guns makes that save. A bump comes out though, and this offense can continue.
Yeah, rounds really starting to take it to 5 Fears now, looking to exert their pressure. Marzi went away from that play, maybe just a fake out, but great 50s from Snowy. That is something he is known for in the region, is just those exquisite 50s. And now out of the left-hand side, pass to the back post. Great work to get across the goal line. And now the snowplow is out from Onizuma. Get in front of him. So unlucky. Marzi has a chance, drops it down. Marzi equalizes for rounds. And maybe there's more to say about this series than a simple 3-0.
Look through the scope. Take a breath and pull the trigger. Marzi equalizes, and 5 Fears are wounded.
Well, well, well. 3 holes in the ground. Onizuma over to the left-hand side. Looking for a shot from Renshiro. It's off. Can he find the second touch? No. But 5 Fears, they have not locked in their defense yet. There is gaps, and that might just go. Tekos has to deal with it. Gets around the first. Deals with the second as well. Guns, very limited boost. So Marzi will early challenge and win the ball as well. On the left-hand side, Snowy sends it back away. Onizuma up the left. Needs help. Renshiro will oblige. Off of the left-hand side, not getting the bump, but great cut by Marzi to keep 5 Fears thinking. Now Onizuma with an early challenge. Gets it wrong. Cleared down to the middle. No one's back in goal right now for rounds, but that bump is going to be huge. Marzi can play it over into the corner. 25 seconds left. Rounds, if you are going to win a game against 5 Fears, it's now or never. But unfortunately, the 50 goes against us as Guns plays it off that right-hand side. Gets in front of Onizuma. The boost advantage is his. And 5 Fears take the lead with 18 to go.
Making them work for it, and they are going to have to continue to work in these final 18 seconds. This is where rounds throw everything at them. That is an unfortunate cheat from Marzi. Guns is cutting in from back corner, but Renshiro confident steps forward. Tekos just wants to boom it forward. Waste time. Onizuma goes for that pre-jump. If he had landed it, of course, that would have been a game-changing touch. Instead, it's low boost all round. It's on target. That will be all she wrote. 5 Fears will take the sweep in this first series. But there are beads of sweat on the foreheads of Snowy, Guns, and Tekos. I'm not sure it's from the heat in their rooms.
Yeah, absolutely. 5 Fears are going to know that they've been in a game there. They've been in a series, and you would imagine that a lot of people are going to be quite surprised by the output from rounds. I saw that we were on Greybeard's stream quite a fair bit during that first series, and why not when the game is that exciting? But unfortunately, it wasn't to be on this occasion. Rounds. I love what I saw, though. I absolutely love what I saw. That is a rounds team that I can get behind and that I can see going through in a top 8 fashion, because they made 5 fears work for every single ball. They made them work for every goal. It wasn't easy, except for that one own goal that we won't talk about. I love it. This is a Rounds team that is playing without fear, without concern, and they're playing with confidence. And the more of that we see from Rounds, the better they will be.
This might be controversial, but that last game, Game 3 specifically, that was Rounds' game. For me, they were actually the stronger team. Of course, the kickoffs come through, and you have to be solid at your kickoffs. I'm not saying that those are free goals or anything. That's a part of the game. It's in every single match you play. You need to make sure you are consistent in your kickoff stage. But if we're going past that point a little bit, and of course, when you do these ifs and buts, okay, this is Rocket League. Whoever deserves the win gets the win. Rounds were stronger outside those first 15 seconds past the set piece.
Yeah.
And moving forward, having this now in our locker and this as a reminder of the capabilities of this roster just weeks after formation, we want this to be a long-term project. We want this to be maintained and improved. And with the way that these players work, Rhino, there could be a huge shake-up in SSA. But that's step one of the GSL today, and that is rather forward-thinking.
Yeah, it certainly is. There is a lot of Rocket League still to play today, and we are going to go away while a couple of other games finish off. But when we come back, Rounds go into the lowers, but they leave with their heads held high. They made it difficult for one of the favorites for the entire regional. Can they perform in the lowers? We'll find out after this short break.
What if I told you, from now on, the only thing you need for gaming is this desk? Uneven Base is a complete esports setup. It includes a powerful computer, keyboard, mouse, and monitor, all in one lightweight build. Uneven Base is foldable, portable, and easy to set up. Perfect gaming experience wherever you want. And of course, yeah, there's RGB. Uneven Base. Now it's about you.
Siis mikä voi olla niin tärkeää, että äijä ei näy 2 viikkoon? Äijä on tullut takaisin. No niin, let's go. Pitkästä aikaa pelikenttä.
Tervetuloa Prozoneen.
Tervetuloa Prozoneen.
Tervetuloa Prozoneen.
another week or we'll be not.
Get it while it's hot.
I do need you, I do love you, I do need you, I love you, I do need you, I love you, I do need you.
Feel this tide choke my neck and I just wonder why I'm buried in a suit I'd never buy, a suit I'd never buy. Cufflinks on my wrist, I can't act surprised when the shovels hit dirt in the earth. Did they start to cry?
Well, it was a solid opening performance from Rounds with, unfortunately, a sweeping defeat versus 5 Fears, but one that was certainly held tight throughout. But here in this SSA landscape, teams can take matches off of each other, and as a result, the landscape is also constantly changing. That can be confusing. We struggle at the best of times, but luckily, RDR Prod has you covered. Roll the tape.
It's been nearly 2 months since Open 1, and in that short amount of time, a lot has happened. We've had a FIFA E World Cup, we've had a kickoff LAN, and we've even had a redirect 3v3 monthly. But more on topic, we've also seen a huge amount of movement across Sub-Saharan Africa, with rosters shifting, organisations stepping away, and new teams popping up left, right, and centre. Luckily for you, dear viewer, we're going to run through everything that went down over the Christmas period and how it's shaping the region heading into Open 2.
Starting off with one of the most high-profile changes in the region, Cosmico Esports dropping their top 4 roster. The silver lining, however, is that despite losing the org, the roster itself has stayed intact, which means they still retain all of their hard-earned RLCS points. RIP Cosmico.
One team that isn't quite as lucky is the Punishers. Even after a top 8 finish, the squad has had to deal with some changes of their own. Kexi has already parted ways with the team, and stepping into his place is Marmone.
The Dutchman jumped barge away from Yoppie following their loss to White Rabbit in Swiss round 5 last Open. Next up is a team that we had the pleasure of playing
and beating
back in Open 1, Spanish Papenvors. Unfortunately for them, it seems that a top 16 finish just wasn't enough to meet expectations. As a result, the entire roster of Chunkler, Zyro, and Nitro have decided to go their separate ways in search of greener pastures.
So, where did some of these players end up? Well, Nitro and Kexi decided to link up and form a brand new roster under the name Amapiano, with their third being Cams? More on that later.
Meanwhile, Zyro has found himself a new home on the New Dogs Ultrix roster, formerly Ox Gaming. The team parted ways with Technic Eagle after a top 12 finish in Open 1, bringing Zyro in as they look to push for a top 8. Unfortunately for Technic Eagle, he remains rosterless.
In other news, a fresh org entering the SSA scene for Open 2 is Strive Esports, who have picked up the newly formed team of La Reunion A, consisting of Eagle, Hallowest, and Willu?
Okay, it's time to address the elephant in the room. As some of you eagle-eyed viewers may have already noticed, we have also made a roster change of our own. It's with a heavy heart that I announce that both Cams and Willu have jumped ship, leaving 2 Phoenix-sized holes in this team. And honestly, that's never an easy thing to deal with mid-season. But sometimes, change brings opportunity. And in this case, we couldn't be more excited about who's stepping in. Ladies and gentlemen, enter the 2 new kids on the block, Onizuma and Marzi.
Both players bring a fresh dynamic to the squad, and straight away we saw the impact. A superstar performance from Onizuma during Swiss locked in our return to the group stage, setting us up for what could be something special. With this brand new lineup, we head into the GSL stage with one clear goal, securing our first top 8 of the season.
Of course, with any roster move comes speculation, and already some notable figures within the SSA scene have been debating whether this change is an upgrade or a downgrade from the previous lineup.
But I do think this is a downgrade. I think Rounds could do better with the team that they had, but, play the hands that you were dealt.
So today, the rat traps have been placed, and we're here to put those doubts to rest and show exactly what this new squad is capable of. Bring on the group stage!
And here we go then. We go into round 2 of the group stage. And not only that, we need to make sure that we get a victory. It's do or die time in the lower brackets. Rounds versus Unity.
A South African full roster of Friction and Shulk, but most importantly, the coach turned player out of retirement, Lackstar, leading the charge for the blue side. Rounds, of course, Renshiro, Onizuma and Marzi making up our roster. And this Unity team is rather interesting. They are full SSA. Of course, you do have the 2/3 rule in place, but who says you cannot go free for free and still find success? Unity have found success. They had a few seasons, they had a few opens where they were missing out on these top 16 opportunities, and they had somewhat of a revival at the end of the RLCS 2025 season. But now, 2026, 2 out of 2 in a main event. It was a top 12 finish out of their last open after falling to both Pioneers and Death Cloud Esports. Certainly no easy feats to try and pull off in the first place, but now stand tall against Round's top 16 potentially being the floor for either one of these rosters.
Yeah, which is quite devastating given the two rosters in front of you. Neither of these teams want to be going home at the top 16 stage. They want to push into those top 8. But unfortunately for one of these teams, we will be seeing them leave the competition here in this game. Friction, Lackstar and Shulk, they put up a really solid effort in their first round matchup against Death Cloud Esports. A lot of people had Death Cloud taking that game relatively easily, but this Unity roster have tricks up their sleeves still. And when you've got Lackstar on a roster, Pegasus, as you well know, anything is possible.
Of course, I mean, this is my first season casting SSA and having it not be for Unity Esports after 2 full seasons of that being my SSA team. And I have seen so many rosters of Unity. It's somewhat a joke in the community that if a player exists, they've probably played for Unity at some point. But now there's a little bit of stability. There's been quite some time now where Friction and Lackstar have been established players on the roster. Whether we do have that C within brackets next to Lackstar's name or not, that has definitely changed from time to time. But I remember one performance from Unity. They were fighting to get themselves back into the top 16 for the first time in a year and a half. The performance wasn't good in the Swiss stage. It really wasn't. Something had to change. Something did change. Lackstar came off the bench from his coaching position, turned on his PC, and ended up, frankly, carrying the roster to a top 16 position and brought back the glory days for Unity. Ever since coming out of retirement, now rounding off this roster with Shulk alongside him, Unity has gone from one of those rosters that was somewhat of a sleeping giant back to an awoken monolith to try and take down, and this will be a challenge for Round. There was a fantastic performance in that upper semi-final coming from Unity. The problem was, however, they had a disconnect in game 5, so unfortunately they were guaranteed to lose that game despite what had been such an incredible performance. And that was no easy matchup. That was Death Cloud Esports. That was the team that swept them in the open beforehand. So this isn't just the improved Unity if we're comparing 2025 to 2026. This is the better Unity comparing Open 1 to Open 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is an alternate reality right now where the internet doesn't go out for Friction, and we are playing Death Cloud right now. There is that reality somewhere out there. So Unity are not one to be underestimated. They're not one that we will take lightly. And Rounds will be going in with that confidence from that opening game. Of course they will, but they will also be very aware of the danger that Unity pose. And I do just want to make a point, because I'm not sure if we mentioned it yet so far, about the group so far. It's pretty much gone all the way we except the Astronic beating Punishers game, which I don't know if we've mentioned up to this point.
No.
But there we go. We can see the bracket, and Astronic 3-0ing the Punishers. That is Skill Steal, Devour, and Inspire. I mean, Inspire has been inspirational for that roster by the looks of things.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very experienced with witnessing Inspire play, and we're not talking about SSA here. We're talking about his performances in a lot of European tournaments. This is one of those players that I'm pretty sure spends their whole day scrolling Start GG, scrolling all the other tournament-based apps to just look for anywhere where he can just insert himself and usually pull off fantastic performances. Back when Benelux was still a league that existed, he was one of those players that was consistently at the very top, had a bit of a hiatus from Godalians for quite some time, but of course me as a bit of a Godalians boy, I casted him on multiple occasions to many success as well. And you may think that this is an unimportant team to mention, but that is Onazuma's replacement. That was the roster that Onazuma has left to join, and it's also the roster we will potentially play in the lower finals, assuming we beat Unity and they lose to Pioneers.
Yep, there is a storyline brewing under the surface, Pegasus, under the lines of what everyone is seeing. But in order to complete the storyline, in order to turn the page, rounds do need to beat the opposition in front of them, which is, of course, Unity, in order to get that game for Onazuma to play against his previous roster and prove that they were wrong in sending him away. I mean, Pegasus, we already know that in our hearts to be true, but it would be great to have it on paper.
Absolutely. I don't understand how you ever let Onazuma go from that roster. I mean, Inspire, of course, could be considered an upgrade if we're being completely honest, but I'm not sure if Onazuma was the player to replace on that roster. We've seen him perform really well here for us 4 rounds, but this is the main event now. This is where you secure your name in the light. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're ready, because rounds have brought together the boys of Reunion to take on the mainland for South Africa, an established organization facing an EU giant. Bring it on, a fight to survive.
Yeah, leaving the competition calls for one of these teams, whoever is not up to the task in the server. Rounds off the back of a confidence-boosting performance, even if it was falling to a sweep against 5 Fears. Unity making it very clear that SSA has a lot to talk about in regards to depth. Here we go, 5 minutes on the board, and Shiro trying to get in amongst it early. We've already seen an attempted passing play from Rounds. The more of those that I see on my screen, the better I think we're going to play.
Absolutely, but there are so many head-to-heads to look out for in this matchup. Friction versus Marzi is going to be a very interesting affair. Both sharpshooters within their own right, but Onazuma will steal the show. 30 seconds in, first goal scored. This youngster, unstoppable, and the pressure is simply not felt.
Too much pace to deal with for Unity. Onazuma, one of the fastest SSA players that you will see. And I noticed that we had a little visit in chat from a certain organization as well. I do hope they're watching, because whatever is happening on this stream, I pretty much guarantee you will be more interesting than what's happening over on their game. As Shell collecting on the backboard, looking to bring it through. Locked away in the midfield, pushed over to that right-hand side. Friction has control to take it through, but challenged early by Renshiro, and that's confident play, and that sums Renshiro up beautifully in these kind of games.
Friction on his own back wall, booms that one forward. Marzi is already up for it. I said that this was going to be a head-to-head to look out for. Another definitely being Renshiro versus Lackstar. Not able to defend himself in this instance. It's going to be all Onazuma. 70 boost to hold, a flip preset. Friction though covers that high ball. Marzi will blast this one off that backboard. Schalke though prevents it from going into too dangerous of a spot, and Shiro's strike not going to break the lines either. And Unity have looked strong defensively, but Rounds are doing well to just try and poke some holes, try to force out any opening that Unity Esports can present.
And something that you can say for sure is that Unity are going to provide a lot more mistakes than 5 Fears were able to in that first series of the day. Lots more positions to exploit. And actually a lot less speed across the field. I kind of expected Unity to be a little bit quicker than what we've seen so far in this opening game, especially to challenge the likes of Deathcloud. So ball off the backboard, Lackstar will send away. I am just waiting for when this game starts reaching boiling point and the teams start finding tempo. At the moment, it's not really happened. There's an opportunity here at the near post. Sharp does well to send it away. And as long as the scoreline is still 1-0, there is still danger for Rounds. Clearance away from Friction. Lackstar's gone ahead, but Well read by Marzi.
Back inside though, Renshiro sees Marzi stepping up high, isn't able to sneak that one through. It's going to be Renshiro again, goes down here for Friction. Let's play off the ceiling. These are the balls that Onizuma is made to reach. Maxar doesn't get those 2 touches though, and Unity gonna have to start all over again. 2 men only on the board now. Time has been given for recovery, with the time wasted there by Friction. It's really well done. And now the recovering Shulk can step forward. Lackstar is available. There's mistakes coming off that backboard, but Round ultimately survive, and Friction's low boost ball forward isn't followed by a 50. Instead, it's Shulk taken forward space. No double tap, no reset, no goal. Lackstar in this safe corner. He's going to have to try and cut this ball inside again, but it is going to be to a lot of aggressive orange cars.
And those early challenges now are starting to come through from Unity. Onizuma pops it forwards, but he's not got the boost to follow through. Friction, that's not a great touch. So should be collected here by Renshiro. We know how effective he is in these moments, but Friction makes sure that he can't get much done. Demo on the back lines. Friction beaten in the 1v1. Blackstar down the left side. Not going to pick up any boost, and Renshiro makes sure that he gets in front of him. Now trying to spark the counter-attack. Just can't maintain possession on Izuma. Good touch there, off the left side. What can he cook up for us? Pass forwards. Actually, he's just going to take a shot. Shulk has to get up and make a save. But this game is starting to dwindle, and Unity have still not been delivered a knockout punch by Rounds yet.
Onizuma doesn't get a heavy touch there. Now Shulk has 100 boost to try and guide this ball into the back of the net. Not going to be made easy. It's a good defense here from Rounds, and Lackstar has just missed out on that equalizer, and with how little time is left on the clock, that one is certainly gonna sting. Has to keep his head up, has to keep this fight moving on, because there is certainly no time to mosey about this one. But Rounds got away with that play. Marzi sends it off. Onizuma bumps. This is open for Marzi, but 3 players dive center. Onizuma just keeps it high and out of reach of any Unity Esports defenders. That's wonderful time racing, but it still maintained the pressure. It still keeps opportunities for this killer blow. But with 9 seconds on the count, Unity Esports have managed to stand themselves up. They're still looking for that knockout blow back forward. And Friction is going to really struggle to get out of his half. It's denied. Rounds secure the first game.
For the last 60 seconds in that game, it was all about time management from Rounds, and they did a wonderful job. They gave Unity maybe one opportunity that looked scary at the other end. But outside of that, you've got to give credit where it's due to Rounds for, as you say, just making sure that there was time ticking off that clock. That high put from Onizuma, you know he's got the quality to try and absolutely laser that into a top corner. But he decides to wait on it. He decides to just let the game kind of fizzle out, and it worked out beautifully. Unity are dangerous on the counter-attack. No one is disputing that. However, Rounds have got their number right now. They are quicker, they are more technical, and they are able to hold on to the ball for longer, which is so important in these games. Can Unity step up in Game 2 and make it more difficult for Rounds to deal with? That's what we'll need to find out.
And what is so impressive about that first game for me personally with Rounds' performance is the way that they ran down that clock. Too many times, and I've seen it a lot from Rounds roster specifically, they try to buy down the clock by sitting back, doing a very low block and trying to play for all these miracle saves in a row. This time, they defended with offense. They maintained the pressure. They starved Unity Esports of all of their boost, and then by the time they had regained possession, how are they going to get that ball all the way into the upper half? If they do, they're going to have to commit about 20 seconds to it, and 20 seconds, when you have a minute left on the clock and you're already behind, that's going to be a death sentence. That was a fantastic save from Onizuma as well. Of course, instant impacts have been felt every game, whether it's a goal or a save, the scoreline seems to be at his control.
He does feel like the linchpin of this Rounds team, doesn't he? I mean, Renshiro is consistent. He will always give you a solid game. But it's Onizuma who feels like he needs to step up in those moments that matter. There was an opportunity for him, just goes to the wayside. But again, Rounds just keeping that shot counter ticking up, just making it difficult for Unity to build any long periods of momentum. And that is a Marzi goal, but it's definitely not really Marzi's goal as he comes off that left-hand side, because there was a snowplow out in front of him on his zoomer, making it difficult for the defense. Rounds lead 1-0.
I want to give some credit to Marzi there, though, Rhino. Getting that beat at such a high speed, it's so hard when you are attacking the ball at such a pace to not give away where you are going to be moving that ball too early. You have to make such a quick adjustment right at the end for your touch. Nonazuma, 0 boost. Likes to try and take this one down. Speaking of quick decisions, this is going to be one of those really tight possession spots where every single little weave is going to definitely cause a response from the defense. No second goal quite yet. Onizuma slams the post, and Renshiro is not going to have enough power behind that ball. But again, the pressure maintaining the third man is high, but they can afford to be high because there's no boost. Unity aren't going to immediately launch a quick attack unless they can get a team pitch, and that is not happening. Onizuma back to that sidewall, wants to get it high, and this...
That's on you. That's on you. You know it's on you as well.
I have never cursed a team that badly in my life. How have I called a team pin? Are you kidding me? Yeah, I mean, fair enough, man. Borky, get out of my chat!
Hello, Borky. Good to see you. As goodness me. Right. Anyway, let's try and regain some composure, shall we? Just like the players need to do. That's a okay. They've not done that. They have not regained composure. That was a really nice idea, and this is why, because that. Yeah, Friction's just outsmarted us there a little bit. That's all that is. It's not a problem. Rounds 2-1 down. Still time. We're all good.
So many little battles to win across this pitch and outside. One battle is won. Borky has been timed out from the Twitch chat. Well, the last battle did fall to Unity, with that second goal being picked up. Marzi will 50 this one across. Lackstar keeps it close, and these are the positions that I do not want to see him in as a round supporter. I've seen him do those 1v2 positions off the ground so many times before. It looks like a mini short set out there for those that do remember that specific dream hack that got this entire lobby using Fenix in the first place. Marzi leaves this ball off that bounce. That's a really awkward bounce, but it's more against the favour of Unity than Rounds. 2 minutes left on the clock. Onizuma coming off that ceiling. Wants to try and get that second touch. Didn't get it, and if that wasn't going to be a goal, it certainly would have been an insider, and Shiro was available to be an option should that be the case. Shulk inside. Lackstar will get that catch again. So good at taking control from awkward angles. Onizuma so good at taking control full stop, and Shiro is there. And you said it yourself there, Rhino. That is a destructive strike from the team captain. And Rounds' poster boy has posterized 2 of the Unity defenders.
Needed. Absolutely necessary from a Rounds persuasion. Get that one over the line. And it's a really nice team play as well. Onizuma passes up to the captain. And he doesn't miss. Shout. Over on the right-hand side, wanting the double. No, Marzi comes away with it and actually regains position really well. And Onizuma will now be tasked with bringing this ball forwards. And, well, he forgets the big round thing. As Lackstar tries to bring it away, doesn't do so. Friction has to make a save. But Friction now being challenged by 2 and does really well to his credit to get away from both. Out of the corner. Go Unity. Marzi just trying to bring it away. No boost. Trying to play the 50s. Trying to slow down any potential counter from Unity. Done that beautifully. Onizuma. Ball on his car. And sometimes you would just expect him to be able to flick that forwards and score. Not on this occasion, but Rounds building.
Friction has Shulk at that near post. Renshiro though loops that ball over, and Onizuma's there to catch. He's coming off the ceiling, but it's not going to be that highlight play we saw so many times before during the Swiss stage. Instead, it's going to be reset down the middle. Ooh. And this is a very awkward pair of jumps there from Unity Esports. Now this is the moment to punish. That's a really high attack there from Marzi, but Renshiro maintains his composure. Would argue that that was likely his ball, but still was able to recover off the back of it. It's a good catch here on this back wall as well. Shulk as that ball fall past him, but he knows that he has got friction on that follow-up. He just has to force the play. It's not always about finding those touches when you're playing 3v3. It's just diving forward and forcing your opponents to make a decision, because all 6 players on this pitch, you do not want to give time. Time that is now running out. 5 seconds left on the clock. Not as impressive of a team pinch here, but this inside pass could be a sign of danger. It's going over. Shulk will slam it down. And now we reach an overtime. The 5th goal will be golden.
Yeah, and second game in the series. Rounds, if they are able to get this game victory, feel like they have a grasp on top 12. Meanwhile, if it's Unity who are able to see it out, then, well, we could be in for quite a long series as Marzi backboard double. He's been quiet, needs someone at the near post. Second man pressure not there, but Onizuma! Say his name and he appears. Marzi off the backboard, saved away by Laxar, but Onizuma, time and boost. 2 things you cannot afford, this young man. And Rounds see out a very, very difficult second game.
That was such an intricate final strike. You need that right balance of keeping your patience, not accelerating or putting that boost button down too early, and still being there in time to not accidentally mishit it and blast it over the bar. And when that ball is coming towards you, it does feel faster when you're in that position. Now imagine all the pressure. Imagine being a youngster making his way in the RLCS with a team stream behind him, so many supportive angles, but so many eyes. You're being compared to 2 other players. You come in and you still dominate. Match point now stands for Rounds.
Yeah, and it's important, and I can imagine Borky's got just a little bit more quiet on that team stream over there, and we won't be seeing him in our chat anytime soon. But hey, from a Rounds perspective, they showed character. They showed a way to get back into a game. 2-1 down, you start to think maybe this isn't our game, but it's so important to be able to show that your heads haven't dropped, that you've still got the belief that you can win the game, win the series. They do that beautifully. And Rounds now have 3 opportunities to take the same position that they were able to achieve in Open 1 with a very different roster. Bromeo, are you watching?
He better be, because this game 3, I feel like this is going to be a very juicy one for the ones at home, because Onozuma's on the ball. In the first 30 seconds, gets that second touchdown, and Marzi immediately pounced on that opportunity. Renchiro's there for the third. This is so fast, and Unity have been forced to expel all their boosts. Only Shulk has 50 in the tank. He is the player in possession, though. Gets that ball high, it drops down. Marzi is not going to get that second touch, stays low, but Onizuma was already prepared. His fellow Reunion 8 teammate gets that ball inside. That was such a good ball, but so hard to put faith in what was such a low percentage play. Difference is nothing's low percentage for Onizuma. Ball goes down. That's a very high commit from Rounds at 50. Had to land close to perfect. It did. Renchiro catches a 1v1 versus Laxstar. That's the 1v1 that's going to be the highest level on this pitch. And Laxstar this time will come out on top. Friction playing it simple on 0 boost. Renchiro makes sure to get that boost steal. And there's a bit of an overload there in the corner from Unity, but just an overload in resources from Rounds. Still offense to Unity.
So it's outrageous aggression early from Rounds. They managed to win that OT, and they're playing with confidence again. And this team, when they have got their tails up, are certainly ones to watch. It's an opportunity. There is a covering man in Renchiro, thankfully, who will look to snipe the bottom left corner. Saved away by Shout, picks up a 12, and, well, no one from Rounds can really recover. So Onizuma down the left side. Didn't play the 50, but something that Friction's done really well this whole series is actually play those low 50s. One more than he's lost. Renchiro pops it high. Blackstar off the backboard, but maybe activating the trap card of Onizuma. Not quite yet. And Friction will be first to that one, sending it away. So just over 3 minutes still to go. This game has been very close. That bump on the goal line is perfect. And Unity take the lead.
And those were a few things that went wrong there for them. Of course, there is going to be that beat from Friction, that bump there afterwards, which is incredible and heads up from him. But also there was a very, very heavy commit from Marzi to go for that 50 just a moment beforehand. That's why he couldn't get back in time in third. This kickoff, though, has fallen rather well for him. He was a part of that alongside Onizuma. Shulk, Laxar, Friction, all in that same corner. And for a moment, disorganized now, putting themselves back in their appropriate positions. Onizuma leaves, Renshiro sneaks it past 2. And now it's our turn for the low boost offense. Marzi, player that was the win condition in that position, lucked out immediately, and now Rounds have been given that opportunity now to start to build themselves up. That's not a great touch from Onizuma, but a 50 more than makes up for it.
Yeah, we're not going to say that very often. Bad touch by Onizuma, but he consistently makes sure that if he does make a mistake, he will get back and try and rectify it. Chance there again. And how many times have I brought up second man positioning and second man spacing, Pegasus? It's come home to roost there again. Opportunity from Renshiro to go alone. Onizuma misses. Maybe it's all a fake. Marzi takes a shot. Has to try and recover. We'll leave it to Renshiro, but this is unrelenting pressure at the moment from Rounds, and that demo confirms that they're not leaving this half just yet. Saved away by Shulk. Renshiro leaves it. Onizuma takes a shot. It's wide. It's off the backboard. Laxar gets demoed. It's all kicking off. There's a chance. Backboard again. Renshiro, please leave that. Thank you. And Rounds are able to level.
Well, there are a few opportunities there that you expected Rounds to find themselves on the score sheet. You asked about that fake beforehand. I do truly believe that was the case. It's a set piece we've seen multiple times from this roster. And frankly, right now, I'm surprised that was the shot to end it all. Shulk was in line. He was just too deep set into his goal. He just watched that one fall in alongside him. I'm glad that the pace hasn't dropped now that they've scored their goal. Look to build up this momentum. Renshiro straight afterwards trying to make these goals coming pairs. Instead, defending with Onizuma, 100 boost, Friction to try and 50. Goes for the fake and takes it low instead, but Onizuma was a step ahead himself. And this is where a game of Rocket League turns into a game of chess. And in games like these, Laxar and Renshiro are going to be your grandmasters.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to talk about the intelligence of Laxar. He'll wait and see what you offer him, and then he'll take whatever you don't take away, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So, Shulk, off that left-hand side, looking to try and bring this away, and there he is. Talk about him, and suddenly he will be the one scoring on your head top. It's a nice pass middle from Shulk, no doubt. But Renshiro just not covering the angle, needs to side flip on the right-hand side rather than the left there, really. And with 53 seconds, Unity might have life in this lower bracket.
Well, he does have a paternal role on a lot of these Unity esports rosters. There's a reason that on their stream they'll be calling him Lag Daddy. He's taken charge yet again. He's shown the kids how it's done on a roster. Of course, they've got some experience of their own. Not many beat what Laxar does have in this scene. He's fulfilled every single position now and still does have the thumbs to perform on the pitch as well. But 30 seconds remain. Looks to try and get this one to an OT, and it was a 2-2 entrance into OT. That had us win that previous game. We never said this was going to be easy. We've never said that this has been one-sided. It's all a product of that hard work. That's a good pass there from Onizuma. Marzi's top corner shot, though, just not enough power behind it. Wants another inside pass, that's Onizuma. And those are plays you have to go for with seconds left on the clock. There's a reason you wouldn't do that for any of the remaining 5 minutes of the game.
No, absolutely not. That's definitely a 10 seconds remaining, we need a goal kind of play. You got to put all your resources forwards. Rounds just get caught out on the counter. Now, it has been brought to my attention that we officially do know who will be playing the winner of this matchup, which is going to come as absolutely no surprise to anybody in the region. The Pioneers were able to take down Astronic. So, one part of the fairy tale story has been written. The other is still being penned as Rounds couldn't get it done in a sweep. Unity able to fight back as a team hat-trick comes through as well. But you still feel, and this is a strange thing to say maybe after a 3-1 loss, but you still feel Rounds are the better team across the field.
I mean, Rhino, it was 15 shots to 4. 15 shots in favour of Rounds, by the way. Yeah. And 13 saves coming from Unity Esports. So you'd absolutely not be wrong in saying that. The truth is, on those few opportunities, those 4 shots that Unity Esports had, every single one was on target. Rounds were forced to make a save, and those other 3 found the back of the net. That shows their consistency and their intelligence once they do get themselves in that spot, but also that lockdown defense. And Unity are one of very few teams in SSA that are able to pull it off. I've, of course, witnessed it on multiple occasions. It doesn't make them an easy team to watch when you're supporting them, but when it goes well for them, my goodness, does it feel like an absolute robbery. And you love coming out of the casino with a max win, don't you? But Rounds now looking to try and beat the house. This is still 1 game away from that spot, otherwise inviting the opportunity for a reverse sweep. Onizuma is up though, not going to reach this. Marzi's got an awkward angle, can't get it on target. And just like every single game we've seen so far, Rhino, it is fireworks out the gates.
Yeah, tough angle to find there from Rounds, and they just aren't able to convert. You do have to suggest that it feels like this game is a little bit momentum based, as far as whoever kind of scores first feels like they have the beating of their opposite number. Blackstar, again, intelligence, able to play that beautifully. Is there someone back? There certainly is. And who else but the Talisman? And now over to this right-hand side. Rounds firing the first shots of the game, but so far none hitting their mark.
Certainly not. Ball here to Marzi. Must be dropped down. He's got that 100 boost as well. Tips it over 1. Friction just gets 50'd off, and now he can hang as a high-placed player, and that is what Renshiro is going to look to try and use. And he didn't get credited for a skim touch there. And it had potential to fall out the final defender, but Unity, one of the most composed teams, frankly, at this point in the world, at their spot, when it comes to just sitting on their goal line and being able to react to any opportunity that's thrown against them. Laxar, of course, being one of those players to lead the charge in that regard. Does tuck under the ball this time, but gets that pass from Friction instead. Marzi's not going to reach this one. Onizuma, though, uses that as an opportunity. Uses his teammate as a fake. It might not have been intended, but he's so good at making magic out of dirt.
I think you're not giving enough credit. I think that was a fake. There was still a little bit of boost left in the tank from Marzi, and although it looked unlikely he was going to catch up to it, I think he absolutely could have done. I'm sure there was a communication there that Onizuma did call him off. Friction. Not going to get past 1. Shout. Taking it middle. Has a player on the far side. Won't be able to use him with Renshiro bearing down on the 50. Now, off the backboard goes Renshiro. Cleared away by Laxstar. Back into the middle. There's no one there, but that clearance away is only going to find Marzi, who's up in the sky. He's got Shulk for company. He can't turn on the ball quickly enough. And Friction is up first. Drop down now. Laxstar, rather than take an opportunity quickly, decides to just wait on it. Maybe it's that delay that allows Rounds to just get back in time and make that defensive play. Renshiro down the left side. Friction has no boost, but he still plays a really intelligent 50. Marzi goes by. Onizuma out of the corner. Gets a bump on the goal line. Not enough, though, because Laxstar's still up. Now it's Marzi looking for a shot, but Shulk sends it away. And this is all very much Rounds in the ascendancy, with Unity scrambling to make defensive plays.
But still an absolute brick wall, and right now the Demolition team hasn't been out to knock them down. So hard to beat one defender in this game. I've always called Rocket League a defender-sided match, especially when you've got 3 of them being so solid throughout. Marzi's up early. Shulker isn't up to reach him. Marzi doesn't get there. And I'm sorry, Rhino, in that occasion, I don't think that was what he wanted out of that position. Instead, the counter comes through. And from a position where Rounds really should be 1 goal up, a deficit instead is what's on our screens.
Yeah, and that's what you get for not taking your chances. That's what happens when you are consistently applying pressure but not finding the goals to match. And I said the first goal of this game would be so important. It really does feel that way, because now Unity can kind of hunker down, armadillo, and just sit in their half. They don't need to force anything. They'll take the smart 50s. They'll take the high percentage plays. They will try and break. But as soon as that break falls down, you would expect them to just kind of sit back and allow Rounds to come forwards again, and just know that they've got the defense on lock, which at the moment Unity Esports absolutely have. Ball over to this left side with Shulk as he tries to come off the top. looking for more. He's actually going to lose out. This one's going to go off the backboard, but Friction's right there. And the backboard defense so far this series from Unity has been exceptional.
It really has. But now with 50 seconds left, you really hope that backboard defense would stop being as pristine as it has been so far. I said the doors for the reverse sweep were opening up, and they are certainly blasted open. A ball comes over, and it is going to be Friction that is credited with it. Those ceiling bounces come down so heavy, and Laxstar just, again, in 3v3, you don't always have to touch the ball. You've just got to be prepared. You've just got to commit. You've just got to make your opponents make a decision. And it was the wrong one there from Rounds. It was a little bit of a rock, paper, scissors type position. Nothing about this, though, is down to luck. This was a 100% play made between Shulk and Friction. That's an excellent goal line demo, and the pass to him as well was extremely impressive. This is very likely ticket to round 5 stamped. And a very nervy affair for us here in the Rounds booth.
Crazy that this game is going anywhere near 5 games. And sometimes that's the way that Rocket League and certainly RLCS works, is you can play as well as you like. You can have all of the aggression and all the possession that you want in a game. But if you can't score, you can't win. And that's where Rounds find themselves. 0 goals on the game, maybe looking for one for the road. Stopped in its tracks. And Unity, all the momentum, all the strength, and I supremely hope that no one on that Rounds team readies up, really, before we hit that 0-second mark before going into the next game, because they have to have a serious, in-depth discussion about what's going wrong, bring in the coach, talk it through, because they're doing everything. They're doing every single thing in the game, Pegasus, except score.
Yeah, they've got Groslup and Spooky, of course, as their 2 coaches. And we know that they're active. We have seen them in chat quite a few times, and I have heard from the players themselves that they are typically in VC during every single stage of these events. So those conversations are definitely going to be flowing. And this is one of the hardest games to try and analyze for me, Rhino, because they are doing close to everything perfect. It's just about putting that ball in the back of the net sometimes, Rhino. And I know that's so cliche. I know that's not the most in-depth I could really be, but watch these games. I mean, watch the game where we had 13 shots to 4 or whatever that ridiculous deficit was in terms of shooting difference, and still Unity pulled out a 3-1 result against us. 3-1 out of 4 shots. That doesn't matter now. It's about these 5 minutes. 0-0 at the top of your screen. The rest is history. Now it's time to create some.
Ozzy out for blood there as he takes down the first player. And, well, the return kill is in as Laxstar tries to bring this down the right side. And the one thing that's most important about all of this, whatever happens in this next 5 minutes, if Rounds do fall as joint 16th place, which they might get a chance to try and say that they won't, but that's a good save. The back by Shulk. We can all blame Sir Pegasus together for that ridiculous caster curse of a team pinch earlier. That's what it's all stemmed from. That's where this has all come from. And unfortunately, he is going to have to wear that.
The producer Hazard just said good comms in my ear about that. Stick to pressing your buttons, boy. Let's focus on the last 4 minutes.
Wow.
I could get muted at any second,
up
chat.
right here live on stream.
Let's hope not. Especially because I hope we're going to be working together for another series today. That is going to require a performance in these 4 minutes that is nothing like what we saw before defensively, albeit. Defensive pressure has definitely been there. Laxstar inside. Shulk has been found. That save does come out from Marzi. He's looking for that demo. It does not land. Now it's one lone on Azuma. The ball remains at that back wall. The corner boost is going to be such a crucial part of this as well. They do pick it up, and now it's all their turn in offense. And Shiro has to get that double tap. And I would back him to score that in any occasion, but a game 5 reverse sweep position. Feel like that's where the pressure really settled in for him here, but this is are somewhat out of proportion, Unity Esports defensively, but now they've regrouped. You can feel that glue start to harden.
Yeah, and Renshiro's been there so many times. He'll be able to shake that one off. I'm actually happier that it was him than anyone else on the rounds team because they really could have dropped their heads. That's a lovely opportunity. Friction, how on earth do you save that one in the very, very top corner? Renshiro invited into the play by a lack of Unity Esports attack. As now this is Marzi. Does well to win the 50. Stays with the play. Marzi! We needed someone to step up in game 5. And it's the man who's been relatively quiet since we started the stream today. But you know what? That is exceptional. And rounds are 1-up in the big deciding match.
There's a hole where his boost button used to be. He had that little bit of an extra oomph behind it. But now for 2.5 minutes, this hasn't been the team that's been able to lock themselves down. That title has gone to Unity, but ripped away in the second. The halfway point is reached, and Renshiro, whose consistency was put to question with a backboard chance, lands the snipe from across the pitch. And now Unity Esports, you better leave your own goal line. It's time for you to step forward. You have what it takes.
That's the question. That's the question that rounds will try and ask them as well. Although we know this young team, they're not going to sit back. They want more goals. 2-0 up. And they will just keep pushing forwards because that is in their nature. That is the rounds mentality. Demo on the back lines. Marzi with an open net. His second of the game. And Unity Esports made it difficult. Made it challenging. But Pegasus, I think they might be on their way out of GSL.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. 2 minutes still to go. I'm not going to call it that early. I'll let you have that opportunity, and when the curses are passed away. Renshiro's in this corner. Lofted over by Onizuma, and Renshiro back-to-back just metronome roll for his roster. He has really controlled all the movement on the pitch. He controlled that last goal as well with his demo, followed by a bump to open up the space for Marzi, who himself has been excellent. But Renshiro fakes that corner, calls Marzi to step up. Onizuma is that last man. Somehow gets it past Laxstar. Shulk has been forced to flip early. That's going to be hard to slam at the brakes. Laxstar has sent it forward. There's panic on the side of Unity. And that has been absent for 4 games straight. This is the one to make them sweat.
10 minutes and 20 now to go. Onizuma off the left-hand side. He's got support. He's got an opportunity. Marzi for his hat-trick, just not there. Unity Esports, they form the formation, the V formation. But it doesn't quite work out for them on this occasion. Clearing away. Is that going to drop? No, it's going wide. Onizuma collects, plays it middle. Friction's first there. That might be one back. It is. 56 seconds remain. But that is all off the back of a round's misstep. Onizuma sends that away a little bit too heavy. The pass back is nice. The finish from Friction is good. So still a little bit of work for rounds to do. 2 goals to play with.
And I hope they took their deep breaths during that replay because they need to keep those comms flowing. This isn't a time to panic. They've got to keep themselves calm because that is going to be the way this game could potentially drop away. It's unlikely to be from Unity excellence just because this game doesn't favour picking up 2 goals in 40 seconds. It would have to be a major throwaway from rounds. That one's on target and they're doing what I don't want them to do. They were defending on their own line, but now that they're stepping forward, I hope that they're here to stay. Shulk is preventing that from being the case. Marzi has enough to tip this one out wide. Laxstar has gone up quick. Marzi's looking for that read, but there were 2 players that went up for that ball. Renshiro leaves that corner boost, goes straight towards this target. Now gets the opportunity to pick it up. That's essentially giving him a tank of 140. It's going to be a tough double tap to try and collect, but it's going to be enough to waste all the time to settle down to the final 5 seconds. And say it with me, folks, not even close. Rounds get it done in game 5. One more series for the day. Whether they appear on mainstream is decided by Onizuma taking on his former roster.
And every critic, everybody who said that this round's roster isn't as good as it used to be, well, you've now officially been silenced. Top 12 in Open 1 with the previous roster. Top 12 in this Open at a minimum. with the new look roster. And suddenly, we start to think, we start to dream, Pegasus. As Onizuma, you just imagine that he's going to be going demon mode for the final series of the day.
Absolutely. And you said that we have now matched that point that the previous round's roster reached. And that was a round's roster that we expected to reach those top 8 spots. And that expectation does not change for me even with a new round's roster. Despite the younger talent, I have seen enough in their gameplay to know that this is within their realm of capabilities. We got the coach here in chat saying we're not done, not yet. We've got Astronic Esports, our opponents, ready here in chat. We've got Bromeo, of course, watching. This is going to be the most watched game of SSA during this GSL. There is so much riding behind it, and you could not have written a better script. Ladies and gentlemen, this break is upcoming. Hopefully it will not be too long, because we would love to get straight back into the action. But it is one more series for all the marbles. Both backs are against the wall. And to climb, you must take down someone else from a higher rung. So bring it on, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Rounds versus Astronic.
What if I told you, from now on, the only thing you need for gaming is this desk? Uneven Base is a complete esports setup. It includes a powerful computer, keyboard, mouse, and monitor, all in one lightweight build. Uneven Base is foldable, portable, and easy to set up. Perfect gaming experience wherever you want. And of course, yeah, there's RGB. Uneven Base. Now it's about you.
Siis mikä voi olla niin tärkeää, että äijä ei näy 2 viikkoon? Äijä on tullut takaisin. No niin, let's go. Pitkästä aikaa pelikenttä.
Tervetuloa Prozoneen.
Tervetuloa Prozoneen.
Tervetuloa Prozoneen.
The moment is now. The wait is over. The match that everyone has been waiting for. When we were assessing this bracket, this matchup was the one that we knew had all the marbles behind it. It is going to be former teammates, former production teams, former experiences with these players all coming together for one showdown for the main event. The rosters are ready. It is Astronic versus Rounds, Rhino, and on the opposing side, you certainly have your experience of the players.
Well, certainly 2 out of the 3 of them, there's no doubt about it. Devour and Skillsteel, ex-Hybo players. And of course, I was the Hybo team streamer for Open 3 until 6. It's a weird thing in SSA last year, don't look it up. But I have very much seen these players play, and I have very much seen them get to this position before. The top 12 position is not new to Devour and Skillsteel, and certainly not new to Inspire, who has been in the SSA region for all of last year as well. Although last year was on a roster of fully European players, this time he comes through and plays with some locals due to the rules, of course. And well, Onizuma is going to be looking across the pitch at maybe a couple of ghosts in his closet as Devour and Skillsteel, ex-teammates of Onizuma. I mean, there's so many storylines here, Pegasus, that we can go through, but for the moment, that is the main one. And Astronic, well, they've had arguably their best qualifier that we've seen from them as far as results go since the start of the season. So we'll see if they're able to pull something through against Rounds, or if Rounds can go one step further than Open 1.
I mean, Astronic have had an excellent performance so far today. They were able to sweep the Punishers, and of course they did fall to Pioneers, but who doesn't fall to the Pioneers? They are the top-seeded team at the moment, and with that being the established two teams they have faced, we can only go based off that first result. Now heading into this matchup, I thought it was poetic that on the roster screen it was Inspire and Onizuma right next to each other. That's going to be the European versus the South African, versus the Sub-Saharan African, I should say.
Yeah.
The Dutchman versus the Reunion A's player, the replacement versus the replaced. This is so much on the cards, and there is still a top 8 spot on top of all this.
Yeah, there certainly is, and I did a little bit of prep before we get things ready, because I've got the shirt right here and it needs to be scrumpled up and thrown over there. We're not interested in it. Hybo has been and gone. I have no allegiance to them anymore. I'm sorry, Chaos, if you're watching this. I do love the players, but not today. Today, it's Onizuma, Marzi, and Renshiro to take what they deserve after the performances today and go through to mainstream tomorrow.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, transfer discussions are rampant, but now silence. Two teams armed with sticks and stones have sharpened their stakes and look to step up to them with calculated precision. So without further ado, for the main event and so much more, we have kickoff.
Rounds versus Astronic. People predicted it would come to this. However, I don't think people expected it to be in this format with so much on the line. A best of 5. Win 3 games. You're into mainstream. Lose 3 games. And you are going home. And Rounds win the first kickoff of the game.
And that's already such a good thing to see on their side. We saw them concede a lot of kickoff goals a little bit earlier into today's action. Skillsteel steps forward. We speak about players with experience. We saw Lackstar in that previous matchup. He's definitely going to be the player to look out for now. That was dangerous. Of a halfway line for either team. Felt like a 50-50 position, but both teams do end up surviving. Equal and opposite forces do meet to equality. Inspire finds that ball across. It's only Renshiro to reach.
Yeah, and this is going to be the thing. When you see Inspire on the ball, he is that player that Astronic have brought in to basically earn them a top 8 spot, because every other player that they played with so far has been unable to do so. Highbot as a roster had 1 top 8 finish from memory, certainly while I was casting them in 2025. That was in Open 6. That was Ravi on the team, of course, along with Devour and Skillsteel. But this time, Inspire, just something feels a little bit different about it. Inspire's been there, done it, got the t-shirt, got high placements. And Skillsteel, when he's feeling it, when he's coming to challenge early, that is never a good sign for the opponent.
I did see a few of Astronic's matches during the Swiss stage. And of course, Inspire was that player to look out for. He's extremely talented. He definitely would do a job if he did play in his home region. With the 2/3 rule now in place, I'm never going to go against any of these players joining these rosters anymore. Rounding it off nicely, Devour takes this ball over, and Shiro will be the one to catch. Our invader of our own, our 180 ping warrior, lays this one off to Onizuma. Marzi tries to keep that ball moving, but ultimately that movement only finds a blue car, and Shiro will catch again. It is a restart of the very same attack, though all players rather neutral with full boost. Astronic are just waiting for that little opportunity, that first mistake, that first spilled ball to attack from, and Rounds have historically been susceptible to that type of gameplay. It's definitely not in the same fashion as Unity. There's still a bit of adjustment.
Yeah, there is. Now, off this right-hand side, as far as Rounds are concerned, actually Skillsteel takes it forwards. Blocks away, Devour shot on, good save by Marzi. And this is where things get a little bit interesting. Devour, demo on the backlines, but time taken off the clock from a Rounds perspective. And Astronic go back to reset. And These are the kind of reset plays that not many teams in SSA do, it's fair to say. You won't see many players moving back towards their own goal line with the ball just to try and reset boost tallies or get a set play moving, and that's credit to the work that Astronic have been doing in the off-season. Ball off the backboard, chance here, no, Onizuma. First to respond, and there's Deval once again, just knocking it back. Ready for that one, but actually Renshiro tried to pick their pockets. Just under 2 minutes to go. It's been very even so far in this game. Onizuma, good catch. Can he send it back down the line? No, Deval cuts him off. Onizuma, though, will be given more time. Pops it high. Marzi, have you got the pace? No, he hasn't. Inspire. Backboard needs a second. Great save by Onizuma to keep Astronic at bay.
He didn't catch that ceiling. He could have got his flick back. Instead, it is Renshiro taking it off the back wall. Inspire does get a heavy touch towards Marzi. There's a lone man at that front post. It's skill steal. And it's Onizuma who goes wailing past that ball. Isn't going to be the one to challenge for this save either. Gets his 100 boost and reset. And those are the plays that you can't get back to too often. We're just going to play that next ball. There's 1 minute left. It's really starting to feel like one goal could be the difference. That's not too often we see that as the case, but Inspire now has the counter-attack, leaves it for the man with experience, and if one goal is going to be the decider, this is bad news for rounds.
And how many times have we seen the third man aggress and just misread it, just misjudge the situation in front? I think it was Renshiro, actually, who felt the stress, felt the vice starting to twist, and felt like maybe that was Rounds' opportunity. But then because of that, you make a decision that you wouldn't normally make in the rest of the games. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened there. Renshiro gives positioning away, challenges a ball that he was never favourite to get to first in the initial play. And therefore, Astronic take the lead, and it's gifted over to them by Rounds at the moment. Skill steal. Off the left side, a really loose touch from him. He's going to leave Renshiro with an opportunity to break downfield. Has space, cuts inside. Renshiro to make amends. Forces the save out from skill steal.
Back down here for Inspire. A goal is needed in these final 5 seconds. And Onizuma, definitely the player on this team that is capable of going for the coast-to-coast, but that setup is not ideal. It does fall down to Renshiro. Marzi's already up, and they do have a lot of boost. The second and third man are placed high. Inspire has to get a perfect touch, and he does. That hits ground. Astronic do take game 1 away. It's a 1-goal game, 1 counter-attack. That changed the entire course, and this was about as close as we were expecting.
Yeah, although I'm actually quite surprised to see just how in favour of Astronic the shots there are. 6 shots to 2. I thought Rounds had a bit more of the aggressive momentum, a bit more of the possession, but maybe potentially not, and that's an interesting one. But Astronic, they take advantage of the biggest mistake that either team had made all game, and that is the difference between these two teams. And when you get around to these top 12 matches, that's what you expect to be the difference between these teams, is that one mistake. Who makes the unfortunate error that causes them to lose the game? Astronic, don't get me wrong, have those errors in their locker, and they will give Rounds opportunities. Rounds have to be ready to take them, and I'm not convinced that I saw a confident Rounds side in that game 1. There is definitely some nerves in the camp.
Absolutely not. And it also felt like that in these kinds of games, when you're approaching that top 8 echelon, you need to play more than just Rocket League. You need to have some magic about you. You need to have, whether that is a bit of chaos or a little bit of extra poise compared to a lot of these extra teams, or of course whatever Onizuma can bring to the pitch whenever he collects the ball. That has to be the difference maker. That has to be the win condition. But like you said, Rido, that requires confidence, and typically this team has had heaps of it in this current campaign, but this is definitely going to be the most nerve-wracking matchup of the entire season.
Oh, lovely work from Renshiro. Is there a play at the back post? There certainly is. And how important could that be? A lovely play as Renshiro comes off the left-hand side, finds the pass beyond the last man, and it took about 4 minutes in the previous game to find the first goal. This time, it takes merely 12 seconds. Rounds 1 up.
Renshiro stays close, and every goal in this series feels like it might just be worth double. With how game 1 opened up, Marzi for that tight angle, it does not come. Monezuma is going to have to tip this ball high. Devour does slam onto the reverse there. Leaves this for Renshiro. It is going towards that top corner, and that was not going to be one to find the back of the net. It was one of those testers. It was one to try and drain down the resources, and getting that boost pickup that Onizuma did there was such a huge part of it. Without that, that's just a simple neutral position. Instead, we can maintain this ball forward, initiate that high press, look to squeeze out our opponents. That bounce was rather unfortunate for Marzi, but it's fine because Onizuma is there to recover. The flip reset is there. He doesn't get the pop he's looking for. And now with that ball behind Renshiro and wailing towards the target, that's going to be a quality by the end of the minute.
Yeah, unfortunately, once again, a lot of resources put forwards, and Rounds do want to play forwards. They want to play aggressive, but the discipline needs to be there from that third man. And once again, it's Renshiro caught out, unfortunately, in two minds, worried about whether it's the right play to go for the ball or whether to sit back, and eventually he kind of makes the right decision just a little bit too late. As Onizuma goes off the backboard, cleared away by Devour. Collected by Marzi, who has been a bit of a beast in midfield. Lovely ground pinch as well. Starting to step into those shoes that we want Marzi to be able to fill and make it difficult for Astronic. Not too difficult right now, though. They're still 1-1. Demo on the back lines. Opportunity on Onizuma, though. Can't join his teammate quickly enough. Renshiro down the left side. Has support. Back down the line. Gets another beautiful pass across. This time, Astronic are ready for it.
Onizuma will catch. Spall heads towards that corner. And this is the coast-to-coast he's looking for. Flip reset. Gets a wave dash off the ball. And Devour must get to that demo forward. Now there's plenty of space for Inspire. Onizuma makes sure to close that gap as quick as possible. And now that allows them to reignite an opportunity for themselves. And Shiro's not going to beat that ball from Inspire unless he gets that miss out. Still will get there. And that was just by a virtue of being in that better second man position. Onizuma down, 50s, and we saw a very high play there coming from Marzi. I'm hoping he's back in time. Onizuma gets there first regardless. Now Renshiro leaving that ball alongside him. Marzi has to regroup, take a tight touch, beat his men, gets that 50 through. Devour booms it once again. And that's straight out of the danger area as soon as they felt that little bit of pressure. Now it's all back to the other side towards those players that have grouped up. We're seeing 2v2. Devour again being able to stop this ball. He has had an incredible performance in the past minute and a half.
Yeah, skill still kind of be able to get up and read that one. Plays it forwards to the youngster Devour. It's not enough. Onizuma down the left-hand side. Inspire just catches. Brings calm to the team. Good block from Rounds. And once again, we find ourselves in a position where a simple mistake could lead to issues, and that might be the one. Skill steal off the ceiling. It will hit the backboard. Renshiro deals with it for the moment. Inspire, backboard double. Not on target, but the pass to the back post is in. I just need to check. Was it Rounds limited boost? It certainly was. That cost us there. The rotations on the way back made it so that no one really had anything in the tank. And so once the pass was in, there was no one there. And Astronic lead 2-1 in a pivotal game in this best of 5.
That was hands on heads as soon as that ball was boomed off by Renshiro. Onizuma will get that catch. Once his first man, Inspire. Dill grabs this ball high. Ball down. Demo comes through there by skill still. So intelligent. That's what you'd expect from a player of his experience. Marzi can't force that one through. Just slightly off getting that strike on target. Like we said, it is going to be the finest of margins between these two teams. It has been so far. It is still within one goal, and there is still a minute to stand, and Rounds have had their opportunities to try and break that final player. Marzi gets a good catch, wants it under Devour, and Shiro's already gone wide for boost. And Onizuma just has to regroup. Prepare for a high ball, which is sure to come. Inspire is going to get there first, though. Onizuma waits for that ball to leave his possession.
Dance.
No, Shiro tight angle, but it's going to be tough to find the power, and Onizuma found it. As did Inspire. It's an excellent reading of the game, but they are low boost all round. And Renshiro threads the needle. The tightest of spots. But what can you expect Of course, Renshiro, of all people, is going to finish the job.
Felt like it was coming. It really did. Rounds piled the pressure on, but we've seen it so many times tonight where the Rounds pressure doesn't gain anything. Is there a second man there? I think there was a demo on the kickoff, so there wouldn't be. Big early challenge onto Inspire. Shutting down the Dutchman is so important in this game. He's got an opportunity there. That's Devour. Pushed away, but Astronic starting to move very strongly into the final 15 seconds of regulation. Out of the corner, Onizuma has an opportunity, puts it middle. Devour's first up. It's back in from Marzi, away by Inspire, continuing to use up resources from Astronic and then not take advantage. Skill Steal almost takes that away from Devour, needed to be called off. And maybe there's a chance further downfield. Renshiro pops it middle. There is a chance, but it drops down, and a huge OT is ensuing.
Front-footed gameplay. Neither team wanted to allow that one to slam to ground. And that's the confidence that we want Rounds to certainly play with. It's a flip reset from Renshiro. Looks to go all the way and Devour! Can't clear it far enough! And Onizuma, the former Astronic player, earned his first victory against his very own teammates.
Oh, goodness gracious me. I'm not sure I could have dealt with a long overtime there, as I'm sure a lot of people in chat are the same. Fantastic follow through from Rounds, and that's more like the statistics line that I expected to see out of game one, as we start to see more shots from Rounds. Their aggression, their possession is starting to actually pay off. They're starting to feel like a team that is working well. This is incredibly tense. But Rounds see out game two. They tie up the series. We go to a best of 3. And suddenly, Pegasus, everything almost feels like it goes back to 0.
Really does, and we're guaranteed a minimum of 10 minutes of gameplay from this matchup. That's the case when you put yourself at a best of 3 position. Still has to get that swing, still have to put yourself on match points. And what's going to be really tough when they're playing these next few games is that feeling of their ribs getting battered by their hearts pounding in their chest. I said this was the matchup to watch, and you can feel it. The gameplay has definitely reflected that, and it will continue to. Ladies and gentlemen, the wait is already over. Game 3 is underway. Didn't that go fast?
Certainly did. And here we go, back underway. Renshiro just needs to get a block here, and well, he does exactly what we ask of him. Onizuma has time, finds Renshiro on the far side, and Renshiro does enough to win that challenge. It's going to go towards the top corner. I'm not sure if it was destined for the net. Onizuma makes sure that we don't find out. Renshiro drops it down. It's Marzi trying to bring it through. Inspire beats 2 of them. Is there a bump on the back lines? No, there is not. And it's started actually pretty well for Astronic, really, in this game number 3. Rounds. For the first 30 seconds, they've needed to try and get out of their half. Skill Steal almost capitalizes on the positioning, but in the end isn't able to.
Inspire, that's very heavy, and now Marzi has acres of space in front. Does manage to beat Skill Steal in that first touch. Renshiro is already up. The backboard is free. He's just going to land the double. No mistakes this time. This is a new series. This is a new Renshiro, and this is a new and improved Rounds.
Renshiro needs to be the talisman. He needs to be the one on the microphone to calm everybody down and settle the nerves. And he has to show in every movement that he is not rattled. He's not worried, nervous about this event. And that is a brilliant play to explain exactly what we mean. Calm, cool, collected from the Finn, making sure to convert. And Rounds have something to hold on to moving forwards into this game 3. How important a 2-1 feels as opposed to a 1-2. Marzi pops the ball high. It will be Skill Steal to win it. There was an attempted challenge. It didn't happen. Waterfall. Goodness me. Onizuma reads it well. Danger not cleared. Inspire back to Devour. And all of a sudden, things are level.
That's incredible. That is a wonderful play from Inspire. You spoke about the Finn beforehand, but a Flying Dutchman will make the difference for Astronic. Equality again picked up. Another kickoff is regrouped, and it is back to square one yet again. We've been here before. We've seen victory off the back of this in the second game, but that job just got changed completely. It's a goal from Skillstill straight off the kickoff. This is all too familiar from Round. Heavy touches again coming from Renshiro on his own lines. And now from a battle of trying to get that upper hand, it's pulling him right back.
But these games often find themselves in a bit of a roller coaster stanza. That's exactly what we do find. Cleared away by Renshiro over the top. Skillsteal will block it away. And actually, he's just tried to take some time there and done a very good job of it. Ooh, Marzi. If he'd have shot near post, I think that had a bit more of an opportunity. Instead, goes far and gives time for Astronic to get back. That infield pass was not communicated especially well as far as Astronic are concerned. Marzi needs to play the 50. Not effectively enough. Another heavy touch. And we cede possession once more. Out of the corner. Chance for Inspire. Will have the pass inside. Well met by Renshiro. The clearance not complete. But it looks like it will be. Although the boost amounts on rounds is looking a little low for my liking.
The one player that has some in the tank is Onizuma. That's the player in possession now. First touch though, heading towards those safe corners. About those 50s, finding the inside space. Well, what's going to be required for that? Marzi couldn't catch it. Now it's going to be Devour. Just knocks that ball forward and heavy, and it did outplay the first man. Luckily, Marzi did make sure to have all available grounds covered. Good quick thinking there between Renshiro and Onizuma. Well, it looked to be a very awkward position. Didn't evolve into a double commit. Renshiro takes his time in that corner. That is wonderful composure, which has been needed from him in a few occasions, it must be said. Onizuma 50s. Renshiro's inside, he's too high on. Marzi's already started turning towards his own net. I don't like that first touch, but it is enough.
Yeah, it is. And the clearance comes through and there's a pass opportunity off the backboard. Wow, Devour. Don't know how much he knew about it. I don't know if he had any boost to actually get there, but that second touch literally saves a goal from rounds. There's a real opportunity. Inspire once again, just defending the backboard. Of course, a part of one of the best defenses in SSA out of the top two last season and proving why they were so difficult to break down. And that is just a really poor touch once again from Renshiro. I mentioned he needs to be the talisman. I mentioned he needs to be the one who's the most calm, but unfortunately, he's the one at the moment giving away all of the opportunities. Cleared away by Marzi for the moment, but with just under 60 seconds left, rounds must convert defense into offense relatively soon. Was that a triple commit? I think it was. And Astronic take advantage.
And that could be the opportunity that loses them this game. It was within reach. Well, Marzi just flipped away, and it's just a result of no one having any boost of the tank. No one can challenge. No retribution. It's going to be a kick-off goal or bust realistically here. 50 seconds is a very long time to try and pick up 2 goals. They don't get to the immediate goal from the kickoff. Instead, it looks more likely Inspire will make it 4. Clears out to the corner. Marzi will just ignore. And down for that boom ball. It's just too low. Skillstill's been given a freebie. Doesn't get that second read, however, but the timer going down will be enough for him. The fourth man is certainly involved. At this point, it feels like a 5th and 6th. Rounds have been now completely overwhelmed, and eyes are set to game 4. A perfect 2 in a row required, and all these chickens are coming home to roost.
Yeah, they certainly are. And it's a tough one. I mentioned earlier that rounds are playing a little bit nervous, and you can see it in their gameplay. Some of the challenges that they would normally take, some of the opportunities that they would normally go for, they're scared to go for them right now because they know how much is on the line. They know what's at stake. And therefore, that means that they are allowing Astronic to have a few too many unchallenged opportunities in front of net. They're allowing them to take a few too many shots forwards. And rounds have suffered the consequences of that in that game. And after such a strong start as well inside the first minute, you feel like you just need to hang on, be able to make something happen. But Inspire, that pass back to Devour is absolutely pinpoint and perfect. And things only went from bad to worse from that moment. Astronic playing well, don't get me wrong, and they are a very, very good side. but rounds are kind of giving it away at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Astronic formidable, but rounds need more, and they can bring more. And you are looking towards those usual players. Renshiro lost a lot of his calm, realistically, in this series. I mean, that concession from his own corner to tip the scales of that game really felt like that was the one that essentially had that key just thrown away completely. The door was completely locked for them to get themselves back into the game. Onozuma has been quietened as this series has gone on. He was off to a blinding start in those first 2 games, but here in the third, unfortunately, I didn't really have much to say. Kick off again, please no. Thank goodness. Onozuma back on. And again, it is going to be that young reunion player that my eyes are darting towards to really take charge, but that might have to start with a little bit of a confidence booster from Renshiro, the leader of this roster.
Yeah, absolutely. Opportunity from Skill Steal, and not happy that he wasn't able to score, so decided to take out the man instead. Goes to the Roy Keane school of might kick somebody just to make myself feel better. As Renshiro gets bumped off the play. More aggression from Astronic now, where they're bumping Rounds that little bit more, trying to offset the way that Rounds want to play and disrupt everything that we're trying to do. Marzi recovers well, pushes it over into the corner, and is actually going to be given so much time. He's able to get the boost too. Doesn't win the 50, but didn't need to. Now Devour comes away with the ball, unchallenged again, and this is what I'm talking about from a Rounds perspective. You'd expect to see him challenge that little bit earlier. Doesn't happen on this occasion. Skill Steal over to the left-hand side. Marzi makes a hash of it! And it's mistakes again that cost Rounds.
That's so unfortunate. It's just that he's too deep set into his own goal, and he's having to dodge his own crossbar to reach towards that ball, and already he has sacrificed so much of his momentum. He's burnt down so much of his boost. And now with that first goal scored, it looks like it could be the one. These haven't been games that are chock full of these balls exploding in the back of the net. Instead, it has been very brief moments making all the difference. Marzi takes this to the corner. We have had equalizers with the past 2 games. It was the first that was not the case. And it's a pattern that Rounds are begging to continue, and they're taking their time. They've got so much space ahead of them. I don't hate it. With that demo now, and the only player with boost really does ruin that point. If we were going to slow down, you've got to leave out one for Renshiro. A little bit overcooked yet again. Renshiro does have his boost back. And just as I say, that even more respawns on top of him. Doesn't beat Skill Steal in this occasion. Devour will get Deft Strike. 2 players doubling up in that corner. Not a sight I often like to see either. They are pinned down, and Astronic are just so happy to just hold down the fort for 2 minutes 40 seconds. They know they're formidable when it comes to their shot-stopping capabilities.
Yeah, that's a couple of really nice 50s being played by Devour, and Marzi actually, don't know if he needs to get the second touch, or if there was a bit more comms needed before that. Devour off the backboard, gets past one. Devour's playing like a player that is super ultra confident of getting past anybody on the field, and why not when he's proven time and time again in this series that he actually can. And it's a good catch from Renshiro. Now needs to do something with it. Does go up the right hand side, has 2 ahead of him, sees them. What can you do for us? Gets past one, wanted the Goomba stomp on the player in goal, didn't come through. And now Marzi once again called in as third man. Just under 2 minutes to go. Does well. Past 1. Looking to get past a second. Good block by Devour. Renshiro turns as third man, and that made me panic, because if he missed that ball at all, it's going in the back of our net. It didn't happen. This one still might. Good save on Azuma.
It's so hard to decide when that time is to really throw all the risks forward against this team, because they are going to be so tough to crack. Is 30 seconds really going to be enough? Is 90 seconds now going to be that mark? But we've got to see the players just get aggressive, go for those passes, go for those really tight plays that has been so characteristic of this side. And there's no power behind that one. That is a deceivingly tough shot for Renshiro to take. That's one that is, again, more about having a second man available to clean it up. Ranchero looking for the 1v3. The demo does help even the numbers. The bump against skill still also helps, but he's already done his job, and if anything, he's back in the position he needs to be. That's allowed 10 seconds back off the clock, a vital 10 seconds. This could be 10 seconds or 50 that they will never get back, and that's a miss from Marzi. Devour, it's his turn to dribble forward. He has been excellent for Astronic, but the nail's not in the coffin yet.
No, it isn't. As Ranchero now jumps up, corner, needing some help. Onizuma has to leave it. Marzi not in the best position to receive. Once again, bit of miscommunication, and now that clearance might just mark rounds for the same finish as Open 1. Astronic, they stem the bleeding, they prevent the pressure. And unless there are 2 kickoff goals to be found from a round's persuasion, it will be Astronic who go through into the top 8.
Absolutely, and they were deserving of this victory. They looked so strong in this matchup. And one thing's for sure, Astronic do look very good with Inspire on their reins. A lot of work has been done in between Open 1 and Open 2 for this roster. Top 8 is theirs, mainstream is theirs, and for rounds this is just a bit more experience for this completely refreshed roster. When you put that into consideration, doesn't it all seem okay? Open 3, I hope that we are going to have the same 3 players, because I was pretty adamant in between Open 1 and Open 2 right now, but you never really know with this funny game of Rocket League.
No, you don't. You don't. And look, the fact of the matter is, I believe that registration closes for Open 3 on Tuesday. So, if the players are going to leave, they're going to have to do so pretty sharpish. They'll have like 4 days, I think, in order to find a new roster and go somewhere else. So, that is one of the benefits of having back-to-back Opens. Oh, it's going to feel deflating right now. But I think the players have to appreciate that that's kind of the first taste they've got as a team of getting that far in an Open, of getting on the doorstep of top 8. And they played like it. And that's no disrespect. Yeah. They played like a team that weren't confident. They played like a team that were worried about being there. And if they played like they did against 5 Fears in the first game of the day, we wouldn't be sat here contemplating the Open 3. We would be sat here excited for main event, or mainstream, I should say. I apologize. This is technically main event. I've been yelled at about that before. But the fact of the matter is, it was a high pressure game, and the only way you're going to improve in high pressure games and high pressure moments is by being in high pressure games and high pressure moments. And so rounds are going to take that as an experience to move forwards with.
Absolutely, and you could feel in that last game which team had more roster changes than the other, let's say. Devour and Skill still, they've had those reps in for an unbelievable amount of time when you really put it in Rocket League terms, Rhino, with how much these teams change, especially for a roster that isn't, you know, a consistent top 4. Usually they are the ones that are more likely to stick together, but in this case, I am happy to see them stay alongside. You could see that did help carry them through in that last series, and Inspire is just one of those players that can really slip into any roster. He knows how to open up space with all the mechanics that he has. He's a great space interpreter in general. He's called that a Ruimdeuter if you are German, but don't mistake a Dutchman for that, please. And as for Ranchero, Onizuma and Marzi, this was a performance to be proud of, to match the performance of that last roster that they had, which, by the way, had scrimmed for so much longer. Yeah. And as well, didn't have as I would say as tough of a run in the GSL. This was a pretty tough GSL stage for rounds to go for. You can see it ahead of you, having to play in obviously 5 Fears. I mean, that was equal to before, but then following that up with Unity, who are just in fantastic form. That is a rejuvenated organization, and of course, personally, that does put a smile on my face, but it was even better to beat them. And on your side of things, Rhino, there's 2 players there on a Astronic that, of course, I'm sure you'd love to see succeed. You just wish
it
didn't have to be in this way.
And that's where the problem lies, right? Is look, I'm always going to back the Astronic boys, Skillsteel, Devour, Ravi, wherever they go. I will be very happy in all of their successes. But the facts of the matter is, did they have to do it against us? That's a bit annoying. But no, Skillsteel and Devour are a pair that have been trying to bring it together for so long, trying to bring together consistent top 8 finishes for a long time now. So if they're able to start doing that here in 2026, I couldn't be more happy for them, and they deserve the successes that they're getting because they are working hard behind the scenes. But it has to come with that extra thing of Rounds are also trying to do exactly that same thing, and with this roster, it might not be a 2026 project. It might be a Split 2 or a 2027 project. But believe you and me, this team, this group will only get better in these moments. They won't show those same nerves. They won't show that same stress. They will show their best look at some point in a qualification match. I promise that.
A lot of respect to the players, the coach, and also I do want to give a special mention, of course, to our opponents, Astronic in that last game, and Bromeo, who has played alongside us this entire time. Be sure to check into Just Saying when the next episode opens, because there's going to be a lot of interesting conversations, especially after the conclusion of this weekend, where the main stream will be running. And ladies and gentlemen, please tune into that stream. It is so tough, unfortunately, in this day and age for regions that are not your NA and EU to get English broadcasts that we can watch. And a lot has been going on behind the scenes, but we have got, of course, ACGL returning for the weekend tomorrow. So tune in, show your support. Any team in front of you, just pick any of the 8 and watch that journey forward. But for us here on the Rounds broadcast, it's been myself, Rhino. It's been myself, Sir Pegasus, alongside Rhino. I wish I was Rhino. I also wish I was my producer, Hazard. He's been doing all the work in the background. This was an RDR Prod production. This has been an absolute pleasure. We will be back for Open 3 in what will be a much shorter break between opens. So I hope you're following. I hope you have your notifications on. Ladies and gentlemen, the journey has only just begun.
What if I told you, from now on, the only thing you need for gaming is this desk? Uneven Base is a complete esports setup. It includes a powerful computer, keyboard, mouse, and monitor, all in one lightweight build. Uneven Base is foldable, portable, and easy to set up. Perfect gaming experience wherever you want. And of course, there's RGB. Uneven Base. Now it's about you.
Siis mikä voi olla niin tärkeää, että äijä ei näy 2 viikkoon? Äijä on tullut takaisin. No niin, let's go. Pitkästä aikaa pelikenttä.
Tervetuloa Prozoneen.
Tervetuloa Prozoneen.
Tervetuloa Prozoneen.
faces in the crowd, but I think that I see you. One too many days got me changing up the way that I need you. Now we're both at a bar, acting like it's not hard, trying to feel something different. Talk to somebody new, kinda wish it was you, kinda numb to the feeling. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but it's been too long. Couple months and I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to move on. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. Not that you're mine. I can't seem to. I can't seem to. Laying on my floor, thinking about all the things that we've been through. From 24/7 to pretending like I never met you. No, it's all for the best, 'cause I know we're a mess every time we're together. Going out of my mind, and I wish I could lie, tell you that it gets better. Now that you're gone, they say time should heal, but